Blah 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 blah. Hello everybody and welcome to I'll Tell You What TV, an F1 podcast, where this week we're going to be talking about the British Grand Prix that has just happened. We'll see if we can keep James awake. We'll probably keep people updated on what's happening between France and Belgium as well. And God knows what else we're going to be getting to talk about this evening. Steve, James, hope you're both well, not too tired, not too sunburnt.
A bit sunburnt.
I'm waking up now. I'm going to have a big coffee.
Okay. Plenty of sugars in that. Right, well, I think we just crack straight on, don't we? The last few weeks we've ranted and raged about how shit Formula 1 has been recently. I'm interested to know, guys, whether after the British Grand Prix you still felt that way or you felt something a bit different.
It was still a bit shit, wasn't it? Apart from the fact how well Hamilton did once he was at the back and had to come back through. That was the only good thing about it. If it wasn't for Hamilton coming through the field, when you look at it as a race, it was shit.
Well,
if you take Hamilton out of the equation, anything else happen?
But hang on though, that did happen, so you have to judge it on that. You can't go, yeah, but if that didn't happen, it would have been shit. Well,
okay, yeah,
it did
right.
happen, so how
happen.
was the race?
Alright. Well, what I'm saying is, it was shit, apart from Hamilton having to come back through, overtaking slower cars. Yeah, Hamilton was able to overtake slower cars, and the rest of the race was shit. No one else raced. Who else overtook who?
I'm sure I'll find out on my notes.
I've got a strong opinion about this. The fact that Hamilton were able to come through the field so easily showed how shit Formula 1 is.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's literally like fucking, like that's what I say. Literally like the Red Bulls, Ferraris, and Mercedes is like they're all wearing Nikes, Adidas, and some other fucking good trainer, and then everybody else is fucking barefoot, and it's like, it's going for a marathon now. Good luck. It's like, I mean, Hamilton just, yeah, we're complaining, going, oh, there's something with my car, and straight away, I've watched the Mercedes-Benz video they put up called Pure Pit Wall that explains kind of what happened throughout the race, and they were saying that Hamilton were thinking that he had damage, but it wasn't. It was just the fact that he had dirty air. So the driver's thinking he's got a problem with his car, and all it is because the Mercedes and Ferrari probably spend so little time behind other cars, they don't know what it's like to actually be in a race.
Yeah. And
they feel like there's something wrong with the car. And like I say, the fact that the Hamilton were able to just absolutely mince his way through the field, I think that would have been a much better race if you'd have took the DRS away. And not only that, I mean, all the overtakes that he did on the slower cars were all pretty much, oh, I'm shoving up inside, get out of my way, oh, we're going to have a crash. There were no, nobody actually racing him. They were just thinking, well, he's like a fucking steam train, might as well just let him through.
Well,
there were no actual.
I saw it like watching Le Mans, and it's like he's in LMP1 car and everyone else is in GT3s. It's like, oh, I'm racing against a different class. I'll let this LMP come past me, and that's what it was. It was like, there's no point in them racing against Hamilton because they know they're not going to be able to keep them behind them for so many laps. They don't want to lose lap time themselves. So it's like, yeah, come past, wave them past.
Yeah, and then when he got up behind the Red Bulls, who kind of like just waiting, then it were just like pit stop. Let's just have a pit stop. Oh, and then luckily, because he pitted a lot later, the safety car comes out so that they can stay out. I think there were only about 5 laps of the race where I were like, oh, this is fucking good. And I think it were like straight after the second safety car.
Yeah.
And it were Bottas, Vettel, Hamilton, Raikkonen. And I was watching that going, yeah, this is more like it. Come on.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because had you not mentioned that, I would have called you both really miserable bastards, right? Because I've got a question I'll put to you both in a moment. But that battle, right, if you remember last week I mentioned about Formula 1 should give you that tingly feeling, that, yeah, come on feeling. And in that situation, I kind of had that. I was like, this is brilliant. Come on, this is what I want to see.
But it was almost like, yeah, this is what I want to see. But it's almost like I'd read the script already. Because I knew Bottas was going to struggle on his tyres. I knew Vettel was going to get a pass on him. And I knew that Hamilton was going to be there or thereabouts. And it was going to be like, well, it was just a matter of how far down was Bottas going to drop once his tyres go off.
But it didn't change the fact that it was exciting. I mean, that's your view. For me, it was exciting, and I had no idea which way it was going to go. It was a question of, would Bottas's tyres last? We don't know. They don't know. So if they don't know, how do we know?
Well, Vettel was always going to have the tyre advantage.
Potentially, yeah, but Bottas on the same tyre wouldn't have had a better opportunity to attack him. So being on a tyre that's a bit more durable and pretty much just as quick, he's got half a chance. I mean, you look, how far behind was Hamilton from Vettel at the end? A couple of seconds, and he was on a disadvantaged tyre. So that shows that either the Mercedes is extremely overpowered, or that tyre was probably the right tyre to be on. It's just Bottas's were a little bit too old.
I think the right tyre to be on towards the end was the soft tyre, not the medium.
Well,
and I think the fact that the safety car came out twice actually helped the soft tyre rather than helping the medium tyre.
Well, if you didn't get that tingly feeling, Steve, that you're a miserable old bastard.
But I want that tingly feeling from the start to the end, not for the last 3 laps of a race.
Don't get me wrong, I agree with you. It shouldn't take for a messed up situation to create that. That should be there.
Oh, hang on. It shouldn't take for a safety car to happen. So how many times this season has a safety car made the race more interesting, or made you have that tingly feeling because it's a safety car situation? Well, because the safety car, that's what gave you the tingly sensation.
No. They had nothing to do with the safety car. It was the race after the safety car.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have been that close together if it wasn't for the safety car.
True. But it's not the safety car that gave me the tingly feeling. I haven't got emotions for the lights on the top.
No, but what I'm saying is, though, right?
Yeah,
if there's no safety car...
I know what Steve's trying to get at. I'm just trying to wind him up.
I'm not right, if the safety car hadn't come out, Vettel wouldn't have had his pit stop under the safety car, and Hamilton would have had Vettel.
Oh no, I don't think he would have done. Hamilton was too far behind. Because when Vettel made his first pit stop, they weren't intending to do a second pit stop.
That's what I mean. Vettel, and I think Hamilton would have had him on dead. I think it would have made a much more interesting finish if the safety car wasn't involved.
Or I don't know, because then we'd have missed Grosjean wiping out Sainz. What I will say though is, right, I mean, I did enjoy the last sort of portion of the race after that safety car. I did enjoy that part of the race. Okay, it's another not DRS, it's another safety car affected race, but at least this time it created excitement. Whereas in a lot of the other ones, it's just gone, well, hang on a minute, you've taken the win off one guy and given it to somebody else, and that don't quite seem right. Whereas this was more a case of, right, some people have gambled, some haven't, let's see what happens. What I will say though is, I do kind of agree with what James is saying, that with Hamilton slicing through the field as well as he did, does go to show just how OP the Merc is compared to the rest of the grid. I mean, I made a note on lap 6, right, so I mean this is only a small portion of the way into the race, and the note I made was Hamilton now P11 excuse me, I didn't write that. Hamilton now P11, making nice moves but easy moves, good advert for a reverse grid.
Yep, I said that not that long ago.
But reverse grid, I see that also being gimmicky, a bit like DRS, and it shouldn't take a good driver in a good car being at the back of the grid to actually make an exciting race. I mean, you know the battle between both Ferraris and both Mercedes, absolutely flat out after the second safety car. Imagine that for 2 hours solid.
Yeah, I mean that's what it should be, and
absolutely pushing it to the limit. But that's it. I think as well, like with the tyre situation, yeah, you had different bits where like Vettel were on fresh tyres and stuff like that, and Bottas were on older tyres. But imagine a situation where you had tyres that were really, really fucking good, but then all of a sudden they like just fucking went off a cliff.
Yeah.
And it were pretty much all down to the driver. If you're leading the race and you've got somebody up your ass, or you've got another 4 cars up your ass, you don't want to lose the lead of the race because you're protecting the tyre, so you've got to push. But then you push and you go over the cliff, and then everybody's all over you, and then you pit, and then you come out, and then you've got an undercut. And I just feel like it's just too much. Just I can't really describe it other than it was mental to see how easy Hamilton overtook other drivers. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, they're in worse cars than the Mercedes, but I think it should be that during like qualifying, the fastest drivers in the fastest cars are only 1 second quicker than the slowest drivers in the slowest cars.
Not 3
you know
seconds.
What I mean? Yeah, don't have it spread over 3 or 4 seconds. Have it literally so close because the cars are so close in performance, and that'd just make it like amazing racing.
Well, this is where I do think that they should bring in some kind of limitation of power. I mean, a Mercedes may be able to hit 1100 brake horse, but if 75% of your grid can only reach 875, that's not, I wouldn't necessarily say not just a fair fight, but that's, nobody's ever going to be able to compete with that. I mean, it's a massive deficit. I mean, I know the Renaults
delivery. It's also the delivery of the power, though, isn't it? Because it was noticeable when they did a comparison of Vettel's quali lap against Hamilton's quali lap, how Vettel's his delivery of power through certain corners like Maggots and Beckett's and turn 1, sorry, the old turn 1, turn 9, where a lot of cars are scrubbing off power, that Ferrari is still able to accelerate. It doesn't scrub the power off so much, and actually at turn 1 it can still accelerate through turn 1, whereas other cars are dropping power, scrubbing off speed.
Well, I mean, I did read something today that's saying that it looks like Ferrari have overtaken Mercedes for the power output of their engine. That Mercedes no longer have the most powerful engine on the grid. But I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I thought the race was shit. I will admit I didn't think this one was. Yes, quite a few.
I think what it is, Dave, is we've been given such shit races throughout this season that one little sniff of a decent bit of action, and everybody's going apeshit over it. And I personally think if you compare this to a race compared to like a race in the mid-90s, early 2000s, I think it'd just be seen as another mediocre race.
It may be, but at the end of the day, if people don't sit there and go, you know what, this is more of what we want. It's not exactly what we want, but we like this more than what we've seen the rest of this season. Give us more of this, then that's what they'll do. But if everyone goes, oh, this was amazing, when it wasn't, and when people are going, this was amazing, others are going, no, it weren't, it was fucking shit. Well, hang on, which is it? Is it shit or is it amazing? It's neither of those. It's better than what we've had for the rest of the season, and that's the truth of it. Yeah, now, does it compare to 10 years ago, 15 years ago? No, probably not. But then again, it compares better than when Senna and Prost were dominating in the McLarens, or the Williams were dominating, or the Ferrari was dominating, or the Red Bull was dominating. It had a better race than that. And okay, a Mercedes at the back of the grid or a Ferrari at the back of the grid should be able to at least work its way into the points, right? Should it be able to get to second? No, it shouldn't, because to get to second it's still got to get past 2 Red Bulls, 2 Ferraris, and leave his teammate ahead of him, or beat his teammate and not beat one of the Ferraris. So they shouldn't be able to get that far.
And not only that, Raikkonen got that 10-second penalty
and still got on the podium.
Pulled out such a massive gap, it didn't really matter.
And
I was just like,
I will get onto the penalty actually, because I know a lot of people have been talking about how Vettel's penalty was only 5 seconds and Raikkonen's was 10 seconds. I am interested to know what you guys thought about that, or even if you had any thoughts about that.
I have, and I can see why Vettel's penalty was only a 5 and not a 10, and it's because it was his fault, but also he was at the back of the grid with Bottas, whereas with Raikkonen it didn't affect Raikkonen's race, so he needed to have a bigger penalty. But for me, it needed to be a much bigger penalty than 10 seconds. It should have been a penalty big enough to put him to the back of the grid.
The problem is, by the time you give that penalty out, the back of the grid's 2 minutes down the road.
But you see my point, though. I mean,
I agree with you that the reason why his penalty is greater than Vettel's.
Let's just look at it this way. Once Hamilton had got his car back onto the circuit and going again, how many seconds do you think he was behind Raikkonen?
Ooh, don't know. 35.
Right, if that's the case, surely that should have been a much better penalty to give to Raikkonen.
But you can't do it like that. And the reason you can't do it like that is, okay, Hamilton may have been 35 seconds behind Raikkonen. You go, okay, right, 35-second penalty. But what if it happens to 2 other people in a different race, right? But that gap's only 6 seconds because it's a shorter track, or because it's a tighter track. So one guy's been penalised 35 seconds, another guy's been penalised 6 seconds. That's not a fair penalty system.
Well, I'm not saying it should be fair.
No, but if it's not fair, you will have the lawyers of the teams knocking on the door going, hang on a minute, how is this right? We're going to take you to court, we're going to take you to the sporting court.
My argument is that I don't think 10 seconds is enough of a penalty. Now, I'm not saying that in that situation, and only that situation, should it have been more. What I'm saying is in every situation, it should be more. Now, I'm not saying they have to work it out individually for each situation, because, like you say, that would be unfair. But what I'm saying is, if you end up putting someone to the back of the grid and you're just racing on fine, all right, well, let's say, for instance, it's 2 cars at the back of the grid that have the incident. He's not exactly lost many positions. He's not going to lose much time, but it doesn't mean he should have a small penalty. I'm not. That's not the way I'm looking at it. What I'm looking at it is, you've got to penalise someone enough to warrant them not to want to do it deliberately. Now, I'm not saying it was done deliberately, but James Allison? I can't remember. Who said something about it was either deliberate or stupidity or something like that, or incompetence.
Yeah.
It's either deliberate or incompetence. Now, whichever it is, it should be worth more of a penalty, in my opinion, so that it can't be a deliberate.
James, any thoughts? Steve's going off on one.
Yeah. I think I mentioned last week. I said, let's say, for example, at the start of the race, you end up taking another driver out. If, for example, you end up taking the other driver out and the wheel falls off or something like that, and they can carry on, or they've got severe damage to the car, then I think it should be something ridiculous like drive through, stop and go, and not actually be able to turn it into an actual pit stop as well.
Yeah, so if you do want to do any work on the car, they've got to come in again.
Yeah, that'd really screw them over. Something like that. Or as well, maybe, let's say for example, in the situation like with Hamilton there, where he got spun round.
I think we lost you.
James.
Something like
James,
we lost you. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, go on. You said that Hamilton's got spun round.
Yeah, but he could carry on. I'd probably say something like, for every position lost, add a second per position lost for the car that were knocked round. So, for example, Kimi Räikkönen hits Hamilton from P3 to the back of the grid. So that's 17 places. You give Räikkönen a 17-second pit stop or penalty, whatever.
I mean, I don't disagree that it should be a bigger penalty, but I'd just simplify it and go, look, in the world of F1 at the moment, you give any of the top drivers, the top teams, a 5 or 10 second penalty, it ain't going to affect them that much. They're still going to finish in the top 6.
Yeah. It's kind of like giving fucking Marcus Ericsson a 5-second penalty. It don't matter, he's going to be at the fucking back anyway.
Yeah. So for me, I'd be tempted to say, look, these 5 and 10 second penalties, I'd approach it like this. If I was at the FIA, I'd go, right, the teams asked us to allow you guys to race a bit more and not be so harsh, not give out as many penalties. Okay, no problem. But when we do give out a penalty, it's going to be a big one. So that when we give you a penalty, you will know you were fucked up. So it's not going to be a 5-second... I mean, 5-second penalty for Vettel. I understand the situation, and Steve's right. The reason Vettel got less of a penalty is because, yes, Bottas was spun to the back and had to pit, but Vettel was also spun to the back and had to pit. They were both affected by it. Raikkonen wasn't affected by it, so he got a bigger penalty. Vettel took his in the fact that he had damage and had to pit. Hang on one second. Hang on. But you've made me lose my train of thought, you wanker.
Right, okay, just on that though, right? No, I've made you lose my train of thought. Right. Vettel got a 5-second penalty, and yes, he ended up being at the back with Bottas, but Bottas had to pit. He lost even more time than Hamilton.
Yeah, he did. He did lose more time, but in comparison to Vettel also had to pit, and Vettel was behind him.
This is what I'm trying to think of, right? Surely it should not be about in comparison to the person that you've had the incident with. It should be in comparison to where the leader is now and where you are now.
It should.
You know,
No,
if you've lost,
I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say it should be comparable to where the lead was. It should be black and white. You have taken somebody out. It's 20-second penalty. You have taken somebody out and made them have to pit. That's a 30-second penalty.
Yeah.
You've taken someone out, made them have to pit, and you've pitted as well. That doesn't matter. It's a 30-second penalty because you took someone out and made them have to pit. If they did it like that, then it would be much clearer. And I can't believe actually that it's one of the first races this season where I've watched a lot of the bump afterwards, and I couldn't believe that they were actually saying, like, talking about the discrepancy of the penalty amounts, and that no one could actually sit there and go, well, I think it's because of this. It was easy enough for me to work that out and you to work that out, so why couldn't they? But there shouldn't be that grey area, that unknown, that, well, why is that 5 and that 10? It should be, or it's spun him out, it's 10 seconds, or he's caused him damage, that's 20 seconds, and make it black and white. And I'd even go as far as to introduce what James has said. I do not like the idea of teams going, right, well, we can serve our time penalty and then change our tyres. No, fuck that. If they've got a penalty that they have to serve in the pits, they shouldn't then be allowed to pit, because you're turning a penalty into an advantage.
Yeah, you're getting 10 seconds added to your race time, but you could do that digitally. So what's the point?
Mm.
But once you put on a new set of tyres, if you're 1 second a lap faster than what you were before,
Exactly.
after 10 laps, you've negated your penalty.
Yeah. Whereas if you had to come in, stop 10 seconds, go again, then come in the next lap for a new set of tyres, you're not going to want to come in for that new set of tyres, or you're not going to want to get the penalty. I mean, I don't think that Raikkonen did it on purpose either. I think James Allison was a bit wrong by saying that it was either deliberate or incompetence. In all fairness, when I looked at the incident after the race, it is as simple as Raikkonen locked a wheel and there was fuck all he could do about it.
And very, very similar to Vettel's.
And would you say the same with Grosjean?
Grosjean's was interesting. I don't think Grosjean's was deliberate, but I mean, if you remember, I mean, one of the things that we used to try to say to people when in a racing league, and I know you've mentioned it, James, about your racing league, is what you don't want people to do is to go, oh, he fucking crashed into me, he fucking wiped me out, he did it on purpose, or he understeered into me. Now, Carlos Sainz said, oh, he's understeered into me and taken me out. It's like, well, actually, he hasn't understeered at all. He's actually had oversteer. So A, you're wrong in that. B, he probably has taken you out. Now Grosjean has said, oh, he's just turned in on me. Well, he hasn't really turned in on him. He's just about giving him enough space. So he's wrong as well. So I think...
So what do they need to give each other?
Space.
More respect.
Well, yeah, more respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Now, the thing is, you know, you've mentioned that, right? The reason that Steve's mentioned that, for anyone that's listening, is James has done a little video for his racing league, right? And it's a video to his drivers. The only thing is, though, James, I tried watching it and I had a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
No, well, it wasn't that. I mean, I've got something that I want to show you guys, so you're going to need to have a look at this in a moment. But basically, I decided that I was going to, because I was busy doing stuff, I decided I would, I'd pop the subtitles on. And I'm not sure some of it makes sense. So what I'm going to do, I've sent you both a video of it, so let me know when you're ready to press play and I'll show it to the viewers. Now, while the viewers can see it, they will also be able to hear us as well. Now, viewers, if you can't hear James on the video too well, don't worry, it's got subtitles on it.
Brilliant. Hang on.
It's a good job you're not Scottish.
G'day. Well, we managed to have a shit quietly until the flush.
Hang on.
Just while we're waiting for James, just a bit of a recap. France are winning 1-0.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I have seen that they are 1-0 up.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, let me know when you two are ready to play, and I shall.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll pop it on for the
Just to let you both know, a little bit of an inside scoop here. When I filmed this, I must have done it about 8 times, and every time, because I did it all in one go, and
typical driver, get his excuses in. Yeah, come on.
You could. I don't know if it's just me, but my brain just goes off on one. Like sometimes I'll start mentioning something, and then I'll be like, oh, I want to talk about this, and then I'll just start rambling.
The thing is, James, there's nothing wrong with that as long as the subtitles can explain it. So, yeah, I decided I was going to watch this video that James has done with a bit of subtitles on. So if you two are ready.
Just to confirm, these are the the YouTube subtitles.
YouTube.
You've not altered these.
I've not touched them. This is YouTube's own subtitles. So let me know when you're ready, James.
Right. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Hello, and welcome to FRR. We're at the FRR headquarters, and I'm James Shaw.
Jim Shaw, alright, Jim! You're the lead goner.
I'm going to create a video to explain what's going on for the future.
So James got to do that, Jim.
News come out.
We've had the news crown from the drive. What's the news crown, James?
For season 5. So going to even faster cars for season 5, potentially rivaling Formula 1.
A Formula 1
championship for season 5 is going to be the base and new foundation for FRR. We're going to be moving from 8 races to 12 races per season, so a little bit more demand on the drivers, but it should create situations where drivers who don't particularly get on with the car.
I love his hand movements.
Once they get on top of it,
I like the way the minute where he goes on his left and he's pointing right.
So I think it'll create a little bit more diversity.
Meaning for viewers, if I'm pointing to the left, it looks like I'm pointing to the left.
Knowing that the drivers have got more potential rather than an 8-race championship where...
What? A Prius champion? What do you do, race?
So...
I don't know, they had Prius on Project Cars, James. There you go.
And yeah,
it must be DLC.
But at the same time, I think it'll make a stronger viewing experience for the viewers. Main key reason I'm making this video is because we've had a few negative comments over the past few weeks, and I wanted to basically make sure that the viewers had a little bit more.
Yeah, just so the viewers have a bit of context as to the reason for this video.
Pretty much like
the previous race, Hockenheim, and it pretty much started with a massive crash that took out like half the field. It was a bit of a shit show.
Can you tell that James hasn't remembered that you do describe that on this video?
Yeah, so
montages or commentary or anything like
I think
that.
I zoomed in on my head at one point where I was looking for it.
We'll get in touch with every single comment that we receive.
See, looking, it's like
from race.
Looking and thinking, here we go, zoom in.
From race 6 of season.
From race
4,
6, from rare 6. What rare 6 of season 4?
The last race that was just
rare.
Uploaded to YouTube. We had a lot of negative comments, not on the YouTube channel, but come through PSN Messenger. Now, these comments were pretty much from the drivers towards other drivers. Now, these comments kind of consisted of conspiracy theories, like other drivers taking other drivers out in order to favour another driver in the championship. Loads of absolute.
Fucking, he threw thermite at my car.
I just wanted to make
in the driver in the championship laws of absolute horseshit.
That's
what it said.
Now we're saying that the people coming up with these conspiracy theories were talking half shit.
No matter what situation it is, it might be
brought up to the stewards locked out. No,
such as the Hockenheim race.
Biggest crash you've never seen.
If you've not seen it, please watch the Hockenheim race.
I like the way you say it. If you've not seen it, please watch it. It was an absolute disaster.
At the end of lap one, we then had a race steward.
Hang on, at the end of lap 1, we then had a rescue, and come on.
The driver at fault, which was unfortunately Rod, was given a 3
Give it a
which scored the season minus 12. Now we put this thing in place where after a driver tots up 12 points over a championship, they get
tops up, not top salt.
They get an instant rest. Bam! In hindsight, we would have been bad to let them know this.
To prevent drivers from absolutely and to they can still compete. And, they're not going to get as many points.
So now you can see why I was getting confused with these subtitles.
Punishment for a manoeuvre which is completely unsafe. Now, the manoeuvre itself between Robbers and Sachs, it was a big collision, destroyed tons of people's races, but it was unintentional. Hand on heart, as a league owner, I can clearly watch that race, and it is completely unintentional. He has got no clue he's got a driver up his inside, but at the same time, there's no excuse for that, which is why we give him the penalty. There's no excuse for it because there is an option in Project Cars 2 to select the spotter mode, and that pretty much, when you go in your audio settings, if you select the spotter mode, it'll tell you there's a driver at the side of you, there's a driver on your left, there's a driver on your right. Even if you look in the rear view mirror and you can't see anybody, it'll tell you what's going on around you. So that option is there, and I highly recommend every single driver to select the spotter going forward. So there were lots of controversy after the previous race at Hockenheim, and we're moving forward. Sacha's decided to leave the race.
Sacha
it's really put a bit of a downer.
Decided to leave the recently, really.
I looked at it. He wants to leave.
It's a bit of a donor.
That a driver's took him out due to some in order to help.
I have no idea what that bit's meant to be.
If he wants to think that way, he can think that way. He's leaving the racing league. That's his problem. We've got some new drivers coming through to fill them spaces, and I'm highly looking forward to seeing those new drivers out on track. And the main key message that I want to make sure that is shown with our viewers along with our drivers is there must be respect given at all times. Even if somebody believes that another driver has taken them out
booking them out
before they know all the facts, as in the moment, the heat of the moment may blow up and they may say some things they don't really mean. Respect is the #1 key for this race.
The newborn key.
Don't finish it. For this racing league, not only between the viewers and also the drivers. Oh my god, it might not be yet.
Everybody. Respect is the key word, and I may end up
of racing leagues to respectful rather than relentless.
But yeah, that is pretty much the key message for this video. But yeah, on the other hand, good news coming up. Season 5, we've got Indy Cars.
Good news, big championship.
Looking forward to seeing new talent come through and see how every single driver gets on with it. We're demolishing the idea of having teammates. It's going to be every driver out for themselves, and yeah, I'm pretty much looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to get involved, you want to message me in the comments below. I'll get in touch with you directly, and we will set up. If you want to be participating,
we will sell.
What are you selling? What are you selling, Juice?
Help out in any way. This is a completely non-profit racing league, and every little bit of help and positivity is always welcome. So, thanks very much for watching. Hope it's not been too boring for you. And yeah, pretty much just wanted to create a clear line of dialogue between the league owner and you, the viewer. So yeah, the future's looking bright, and I know that's another tagline for a defunct phone company. But yeah, respect is the key word for today's video. Thank you and goodbye.
Well done, James. So what the fuck were you saying then?
In a nutshell, don't be a dick.
Well, YouTube subtitles, not brilliant. Maybe we should put subtitles on us at some point to see what happens. Anyway.
Either you've got really, really big hands, or that's a tiny custard cream. Have you seen that picture?
I have, yeah. I think it's a bit of both. Right, okay. Let's get back to the F1, shall we? Let's see. Last week...
we were just talking about the collision between Sainz and Grosjean.
Yeah.
What was funny were a bit of a Twitter war going on between the teams. Haas Twitter page, they put up a thing saying Grosjean says that Sainz turned into him, and then Renault replied to that tweet going, "That's funny." Because Sainz says that Grosjean understeered into him, and then they put right at the bottom, all we can say is who's really at fault is definitely Marcus Ericsson. Oh, fucking brilliant!
Well,
that one back up from Baku.
Yeah, because there has been one as well. I mean, since that Baku, right? There has been this thing of a lot of people going, "I'll just blame Ericsson."
Why not?
Yeah.
But technically it's right as well, because he did bring out the safety.
True, that is true. I tell you, Ericsson must have fucking shit himself, you know, because that Sauber at no point over the course of the weekend that I saw went through turn one with its DRS open. At no point. Qualifying or no point. And then in the race he goes and does it. And that's what caused his spin, his DRS being open. So he must have absolutely shit himself. Now I was going to mention, I mean, one of my first notes actually wasn't from the race day. It was from FP1, and it was just Grosjean crashed out. Because we talked last week, didn't we, about how Grosjean had a really good race, and you said, well, he'll crash out then next week.
But his reason for crashing out was interesting.
Yeah.
The track was bumpy, so he couldn't shut the DRS.
Yeah, he missed the button.
But that could be the same reason for Ericsson.
It could be. He probably just didn't want to say that.
He's too hard, this Formula 1. That's why I crashed. Too hard. But I did say he's had that one good race at Austria, and he's come away with P4, and he's got decent points finally on the board. I said, I bet you a tenner it's gonna end up going back to the way it was, where he keeps having collisions here, there, and everywhere, and he doesn't score any points for ages. And it proved me point when that collision with Sainz. So I was like, oh well, there we go.
Yeah,
it's happened again.
I mean, the way he lost control of the car, I can understand the car doing that, because it's going.
What are you trying to say?
Get subtitles on that bit. Fucking Jesus. You conundrumed, countdowned.
Rachel Marley, get your backs out.
What I was going to say, I mean, having watched a bit of IndyCar and NASCAR when they're on the ovals, they don't have to have a car directly in front of them. It can be to the side of them and give them enough dirty air to give them a bit of a moment. And I think that's pretty much just what happened to Grosjean. I think annoyingly he was actually doing quite well until that point, and then well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put blame on Sainz, I wouldn't necessarily put blame on Grosjean, but Grosjean should be good enough to not lose control of his car in a corner like that. You look at when Raikkonen and Verstappen went through that corner, Verstappen was in pretty much the same place as Sainz was.
Yeah, but totally different.
Raikkonen knew if I keep my foot in here, I'm going to get dirty air and I'm going to probably spin off, so I'll just lift off and I'll get him later. But Grosjean, being desperate, don't think like that.
Yeah, that is true.
Just want to mention something about the circuit being bumpy, and that's why maybe they missed the button for the DRS. Do you know why Silverstone relayed the circuit?
No.
Well, it's the same reason for Barcelona relaying the circuit and a few other circuits as well, and it's because of MotoGP. The drivers have been moaning that some of the circuits are too bumpy and it's chucking the drivers, some of the bumps are chucking the drivers off. So there's some circuits where they've said, okay, we're going to have to resurface it for MotoGP, but they've got rid of some of the big bumps, but it's now they've got those horrible little, what did the Formula 1 call it? It's like high frequency bumps.
Like ripples.
It's like ripples, yeah. So it's like like rather than a big speed bump, you've got like cobbles basically, and that for MotoGP is going to be worse than what it was before. So what a waste of time it was resurfacing Silverstone.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
but who cares about motorbikes anyway?
Yeah, true. James does.
I know. Well, I much prefer Formula 1, but at the same time, MotoGP gives a million times more action. I'm probably got my heart in my mouth more times watching MotoGP than I have in the past 5 years watching Formula 1.
Yeah.
The only motorbike racing I watch is Isles of Man TT. That's just absolutely fucking mental. It's just nothing like it in the world.
I think last time I proper had my heart in my mouth when watching Formula 1 when I saw Webber flip upside down.
Yeah.
I want to mention something actually. Dead. Yeah, I mean, something that crossed my mind actually. There's some statistics I saw, and it's to do with the rise in teenage deaths from when they pass the driving test. I mean, they pass the driving test and they die, right? There's been a rise in the last 10 to 15 years apparently, and yet there's supposed to be like more safety in cars and stuff, and more understanding, and the driving test is supposed to be harder, get to a higher standard. And I'm thinking, well, what if these kids are watching motorsports and seeing them just walk away from a high-speed accident?
Yeah.
So they don't have any fear in a high-speed accident.
Well, this is it. I mean, I've said to Vicky loads of times, what I don't understand is, why don't they say to young kids now, let's say at the age of 14 to 16, before you can even legally get in a car, you can do part of your theory test, and it's all simulated. So you sit down like you would on a game, and it basically simulated scenario. So you'll be just driving down the street, 30 mile an hour, and then a digital lady with a pram will like wander out into the road, and you know what I mean, gauge your reaction time and shit like that, rather than sitting in front of a computer and going, right, click a mouse whenever you see an obstruction. No, put you actually physically in the car and let's see how you deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I said to Steve a couple of years ago, I says it won't be long until people are learning to drive on computer simulators. And I think it'd be a better way for people to learn, because at least then they would get to learn to drive. I mean, before they even get in a car, they'd know how a clutch works, about indicating, and as you say, reacting to dangers. I mean, people who, well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I know a lot of people, but I do know people that are terrified at the thought of driving on a motorway, even when they've done Pass Plus. So they could practice scenarios in a much safer environment, so that when it comes to actually doing it, they've got some experience of it.
Yeah, me, I think there's no safer place than bombing on about 70 mile an hour on motorway.
Mm.
Well, do you know what they should do though, right? To add that fear factor into it, because obviously when you're sat in a simulator of whatever type, you know, if you fuck up, you just press restart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Put a fear factor in there. Put a gunk tank above them, so if they fuck up, they get gunked.
Yeah.
And then it's like you really don't want to get, you know, but it's just like, you know, well, it's better than dying, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, this is it. Your theory test, like let's say for example you're bombing along, you hit a kid, and then it just says you've hit a kid while driving, you're going to prison. I mean, make them, oh shit, I better not do that.
No.
But I think as well, what are you doing?
Go for electric shock treatment. You've hit a kid, you're now going to get an electric shock. You may shit yourself.
Well, not only
I'm
that.
talking about shitting myself, I just farted and it stinks. It's really bad.
Could do like so for example, I don't know, it's just gone out of my head. I had a good idea then, but it's just disappeared out of my head. What were I thinking, Bella, before you came and licked my head? I don't know.
Anyway.
You're whacking your tail for? Can you hear her whacking her tail? Oh, burping in my face, thank you.
What did you think of Hartley's crash on Friday as well?
Oh yeah, very reminiscent of China with the Toro Rosso. Yeah, just a complete passenger, and in a way, you saw the massive mark on the halo. It is a good job that we got it there.
I would admit, in that scenario, and even with Ericsson's crash, Ericsson went quite deep into that tyre barrier.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed how much the metal wall moved when he hit the tyre barrier as well.
Yeah, it did move a bit.
By the sounds of it, Steve's a bit echoey. He's gone for a shit.
No, I'm saying exactly the same place.
Alright.
Where's Vicky gone, Bella? She's gone.
Okay. Should we... is there anything else that you can think of that you want to mention about the race, or do you want me to flash through my notes, see if anything triggers your memories?
Yeah, we'll go through your notes and that triggers something there.
Now, I have a new record, by the way. Silverstone has been a new record for the amount of notes. I had to get a second piece of paper, which is the first time. So I'll try and go through these sort of as quick as I can. I was watching... Was I watching, or did I just get up late? I think I may have just got up late. So I didn't know that Williams was starting from the pit lane, because I only started watching it sort of just as the national anthem was being played. So I was late on the information for that. But in a way, I'm glad that they made that change, but it just begs the question, how fucked up is their car if they come to their home Grand Prix and then realise, actually, you know what, the whole thing's wrong, it's fucked. By the way, France are going through to the final of the World Cup. So let's see, lap 1, Hamilton, poor start, Kimi spun him, he's plumb last, obviously that we know about. What are your thoughts about Mercedes having poor starts, or is it just Lewis Hamilton having poor starts while Ferrari are getting great starts?
Do you remember some time ago the Benetton was deemed to be using a launch start system that was illegal? I'm wondering whether Ferrari have found something, whether it's an engine mode or something.
No, I think it was just a bad start, because even Bottas did Hamilton off its start as well.
But it's not just the first time though, is it? I mean, we've seen it quite a few times this season. The Ferraris are quick off the line. They don't seem to get the wheel spin that the other cars do.
I'm pretty sure that they'll have some kind of edge which other teams don't have. But yeah, I would say I think Mercedes are going to have to pull something out of the bag to win this championship now.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Raikkonen on lap 1, a great move around T9 on Ricciardo after spinning at Hamilton. Let's see. Oh yeah, Perez nearly hit the Williams in the pits. Did you see that as well at the start when Perez spun around?
Yeah. nearly face on, wasn't it?
I think it was Jenson Button said he was surprised that the Williams were allowed to go as soon as they were. I was actually, because usually they'd wait until the cars have passed the pit exit, I thought, and they weren't.
I thought that. I thought they were supposed to be past the pit exit and then they were released.
But anyway, lap 2, Vettel 2.7 lead. I must admit, by lap 2, I was thinking Vettel was just going to fucking run away with this. Lap 3, Hartley retired, but obviously his session was completely fucked from the crash he had on Friday. So yeah, he was screwed. Let's see, lap 3, Hamilton now up to P14. Lap 3, Kimi attacking Max, and then on lap 5 I wrote Kimi on a charge. It's unlike him. I did get a bit of a sense of, I know we talked a little bit about it the other week about Raikkonen sort of putting on a bit more of a show in Austria, I think it was, and it seemed like that in Silverstone in the opening laps. He was going very aggressive, very attacking on Max Verstappen. It didn't work, but for me it did seem like, oh, usually Kimi's a bit more sort of laid back, yeah, whatever happens happen, but this time it was more like, you know what, I'm going to come and get you.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit too little too late. I'm thinking this is going to be Raikkonen's final season, even though other teams might be like, oh, we'd love to have him. I don't think they'll be able to afford him.
There's only one team that can afford him, and it's McLaren, if Alonso's not there.
But if you had a toss-up between Raikkonen and Ricciardo, who would you go for?
Ricciardo, but I think Ricciardo's going to stay at Red Bull.
Well, I don't. I've got a funny feeling he's going to fucking leave.
I've got a feeling he's going to stay because there isn't anywhere else. Okay, he could go to McLaren, but that may be his only option. Because to get in a Mercedes, Hamilton or Bottas are going to have to not be there. And I think Mercedes are quite happy with Hamilton, and they're happy enough with Bottas.
Yeah. I can't see him going to McLaren because it's a better option than Red Bull.
I mean, that's the key part. Is it a better option?
Put it this way, right? I can see a Red Bull with a Honda engine. All right, Danny Ricciardo could probably still win 2 races next season with a Honda-powered Red Bull. Is he going to win 2 races with a Renault-powered McLaren?
That's a good question. One that I don't have the answer to. James says no way, so there we go. Go on.
I don't know, with the aero regs changing from next year, possibly. I mean, all this good work that Mercedes and Ferrari have done could next year lead to absolutely zilch.
Yep.
If everybody's got a similar style front wing.
That is very, very true. Okay, lap 6, Hamilton was up to P11, so made a lot of moves already. That's when I wrote about a good ad for a reverse grid. Lap 6, P10 for Hamilton, so 2 moves in the 1 lap. And I also wrote down Merc is overpowered. Lap 7, Kimi, 10-second penalty. Vettel only got a 5-second penalty, and Tom Christensen was the driver steward at Silverstone, who is, I believe, Finnish. So some people think he maybe doesn't like Kimi, but
I didn't know it started.
What do you mean started? Ha, you twat.
You said it finished.
Yeah.
You know what I was just thinking, right? You know, if I were Williams...
Which one, Claire or Frank?
Well, we're fucking Claire.
Barry.
Yeah. If I were them, and let's say, for example, you knew this year were a complete write-off, why not already start... Obviously, like, Claire Williams were coming up with some bullshit going, oh, well, we need to understand what's going on with this car in order to develop next year's car. Why not go, right, it's clearly not fucking working. Let's have a look at the aero regs for next year and start developing already front wings and barge boards that would still be able to use this year, but we know we're going to be shit anyway, so we'll develop next year's body parts.
Yeah.
So we've got a better understanding before we even start next season.
Yeah. Because
they're about the only team that can afford to do that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the power unit that's the problem, it's not the gearbox that's the problem, it's the chassis in the car that's the problem. So they might as well go down that route. They're not salvaging this year, other than unless they have to finish at a certain position in the championship to break even or make a bit of money. Because if they, I mean, let's put it this way, if Williams end up in a situation where they have to go, you know what, we can't afford to do F1, then they haven't got, this is where Bernie Ecclestone was very good. Williams find themselves in that situation, there's half a chance Bernie Ecclestone could help them out. Liberty Media probably aren't going to do that. They don't have that relationship with the Formula 1 teams. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think you're right, James. They should just go, right, let's fuck this car, let's fuck this season, let's work on everything we can for next season, because there's nothing in the rules at the moment that says that the front wings have got to have 20 fucking elements on them.
The only thing that's different is the width of the wing is narrower for next year, and I don't know if they're allowed to use a narrow front wing for this year.
But I know that it said something like a maximum of 3 elements, because currently they're on like 20 or whatever. But if they went, right, okay, well, we're going to, obviously the width of the wing is not representative, but we'll develop the best 3 element wing, and like the barge walls have got to be a certain size smaller.
It's also got to be a one-piece, like the end plate's got to be a one-piece end plate as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they could do that, and they already know they're going to have a pretty shit season anyway. So why not test out these? They're not going to be identical parts to next season, but they'd have a better understanding of what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, lap 8. I missed Hamilton passing. That looks like Sainz. I thought it said spin 2, but it says Sainz. Yeah, so I missed Hamilton passing Sainz because of a replay. Lap 9, Hamilton's now P8. I mean, for Hamilton to get from dead last to, well, apart from Perez, second to last to P8 by lap 9 just goes to show that what James was saying is right. The Mercedes is way too overpowered for most of the grid. What I did write though on my next note was lap 9. If Hamilton gets a podium, it's a better drive than him just doing a pole to the win.
Yeah.
James might disagree, but that was just the way. Pole to the win, easy-ish. But having to go from the back to get on the podium, at that point I was thinking that would be, I mean, if it was me, I'd probably, okay, you'd be pissed off that you got spun around, but you know what, I'd be elated that I'd managed to get into second place. You wouldn't expect that, but admittedly,
I think it all just depends how close the racing is. I remember the race in, I think it was 2005 or 2006 where we were at Imola, and it was Michael Schumacher and Alonso. I think Alonso started from pole and won the race. But because Schumacher were literally up his arse the entire race, that's what made it exciting.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit like Senna Mansell at Monaco. There wasn't a single overtake between them, but because it was that close for that long. I mean, you don't always need an overtake to make a race exciting. You just need that possibility.
Yeah.
That challenge to be there. Okay, lap 11, Hamilton past Hulkenberg. Lap 12, this made me laugh actually. Kimi Raikkonen, so I'm not allowed to think anymore. I don't know what you two thought about that, but I found that quite amusing.
I thought you said I'm not allowed to blink anymore.
No, think.
Yeah, no, I found it quite funny. Well, it was kind of like that thing, wasn't it? Like, whatever you say, Kimmy, we're just going to basically tell you to put your head down and get on with it.
Yeah.
So you could see, I think that little outburst was due to knowing that his contract is up, and he's like, well, what's the point in holding my tongue anymore? Cause
yeah. I mean, the thing is not only that, what he was saying actually did kind of make sense. Basically, what he was saying was, it says, look, I can't get past them at the moment. I think we should go aggressive, pit me, put some new tyres on, and we'll serve the penalty. Then I can try and catch them up. His engineer replied with, well, we've got to consider the 10-second penalty. You won't get ahead of them if we do that. He says, well, I'm not going to get ahead of them if we don't do that, because if I don't, like, I'm stuck where I am and I'm going to have 10 seconds added on. I'm going to be 10 seconds further down the, like, further back. And even if I do get past them, if they pit, they've only then got to catch up 4 or 5 seconds because of his penalty, like, because the pit stop at Silverstone is not long, about 14-15 seconds, so they'd only have to catch up 4 or 5. So he was actually saying, look, let's do it, let's pit, put some new tyres on, I'll be able to go faster, possibly get an undercut. If they do pit, I've got a chance. They weren't interested at all.
It's because all their eggs are in one basket.
That is true. And their eggs very nearly got very broken. Okay, lap 13, Ricciardo was catching Raikkonen. Difficult day for the Red Bulls, really. Fuck all they could do. Let's see, lap 13, Hamilton complaining that his car's damaged and he can't go very quick, and then does the fastest lap of the race with a 1:33.1. Was catching up to Ricciardo. Lap 14, I actually wrote here, not seeing any battles lower down. Now, at this point, there were fairly close battles lower down, but we weren't seeing it at all.
There were. I was keeping an eye on it, and I don't remember seeing the positions change much.
No.
At all. They were close.
Yeah.
But not any overtakes.
Yeah.
Apart from when Hamilton was going through.
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking, are we going to see anyone else overtake, or is it just going to be Hamilton?
Mm-hmm. But at least with this time, they did get Hamilton making moves live, whereas, you know, like,
there's a reason for that though.
Because it was the British Grand Prix.
Yeah, and it had a British editor.
Yeah, maybe.
So when it's at Mexico, all you see is Perez, no matter what his position is in.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, lap 14 again. I wrote Kimi pits, put the medium tyres on. He's angry, served his penalty. Didn't change his wing, even though he thought he damaged it. Lap 14, Alonso and Perez pitted. Let's see, lap 15, Kimi making moves. Kimi was very quick after he made his pit stop, actually. Yeah, he was making moves, and they were actually caught live. Then 2 replays of the same. That I know we've talked about the missing replays, missing overtakes before, but I know I mentioned as well from France, Paul Ricard, when you've seen the overtake live, you don't need to see 4 fucking replays of the overtake you've just fucking seen. But they seem to do that with Kimi Raikkonen, and I don't. It's a little thing, but it pisses me off, because it's like, okay, I'm watching something I've already seen, but now I'm gonna miss something that you're gonna then have to fucking show me. See, James's rants have got to me.
Normally, I'd agree with you, but fuck all happens in Formula 1. They might as well show you the replay.
Yeah, true.
But in a football match, you see a goal go in, it's like, oh, that was a good goal. Are we going to see a replay of it? Of course we are, from every angle possible.
True.
They'll wait until like somebody's injured to show
or before they kick off again.
Yeah.
It'd be literally like somebody running into penalty box and all crowd going, and then they cut to a replay of what's happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Be like, what the
fuck? Even James would be pissed off with that one. Okay, lap 16 again. Leclerc and Hulkenberg, P6 battle.
Leclerc.
I'm calling him Leclerc today. Yeah, that was the P6 battle. I actually wrote then that was the first of the lower teams shown. So basically, from lap 1 to lap 16, the only proper footage of anyone that wasn't Mercedes, Ferrari, or Red Bull was lap 16, Leclerc and Hulkenberg. That if you're an owner of a team or the sponsor of a team, that's a lot of laps to never see your car. I mean, that's just under a fifth of the race.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Maybe
what
it's
I'm saying. If let's say, Dave, you were ahead of a multinational big sponsor, and let's say you couldn't really afford like Heineken to put them digital stars everywhere. But let's say like you're a company that advertises fucking
dildos.
Well, let's just say, how happy do you think Martini are?
Oh God.
On the Williams, and it's not even getting shown.
Yeah.
It's getting shown more than some of the cars at the back because it gets lapped more often, so you could see it twice as much.
Martini makes you drive slower. But no, I mean, you wouldn't be happy, would you? And you can understand why McLaren have struggled to get sponsors over the last few years as well. Okay, lap 16 again, Kimi passes Ocon, now up to P8. Lap 17, I wrote, Vettel lost 7 tenths. We heard that he locked up. And then lap 17 again, Kimi passed Leclerc. I actually wrote that Kimi's flying at that point because he was looking very quick and showing that the medium tyre was the tyre to be on at that time. Max pitted in the same lap. Kimi passed Hulkenberg and Gasly. And on lap 17 as well, Sainz pitted for the hard tyre, one of the few to put the hard tyre on.
It just goes to show what a waste of a tyre compound that has been.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I do know that in the commentary on, might be one of the practice sessions, somebody actually tweeted into Crofty and said, if the teams are made to bring three, or like the teams have got 3 tyre compounds at the Grand Prix weekend, why aren't they made to use all 3 compounds in the race? That way you would force a 2-stop race at every Grand Prix.
I like that idea.
Yeah. Now Crofty said, well, he actually put that to Ross Brawn a few days ago, and he said Ross Brawn mentioned that that is one option that is being looked at. And I think they should, because if they're lugging all of these tyres all over the place, and I mean the hard tyre, it got used in FP1 by a few teams and the odd team on.
But that was
Sunday.
just while they're doing the install laps and
yeah,
you know, just doing the aero testing where they're just running at constant speeds and
or
just getting some mileage. Yeah, just getting some mileage, you know, on the track. It wasn't for performance testing the tyre or anything, or seeing whether it would be worthy of using it in the race at any point.
Yeah.
Because every team knew that, pretty much apart from Renault, every team kind of knew that that tyre was going to be pointless in the race.
Exactly. And if they I mean, it'd be interesting to see what James thinks about this in a second, but if they did bring in that rule that you had to use all 3 tyres, it then would open up the strategies even more, because if you're starting nearer the back, do you go for that harder tyre and try and go even longer, or do you save that harder tyre for a very short stint somewhere? I mean, we used to do it at Spain, I think it was, where the harder tyre that you had to use at Spain was so bad that you only really wanted to use it for a handful of laps and then do an extra stint on the softer tyre because it was so much faster. So, I mean, I'd be interested to know, what do you think, James? Would you like that idea?
I'd like that if they had a minimum amount of laps you should spend on particular tyre. So let's say, for example, you got the hard tyre, it's utter shit. If you put in that you have to be on them hard tyres for a minimum of 10 laps, then that'd really open it up. But I think what you'd find is you'd end up having people doing the race and leaving the hard tyre for the final lap of the race, pitting on the final lap, and then coming out in front of everybody who've, you know, used that hard tyre earlier on in the race.
Possibly.
If you said like minimum 10 laps per race, you knew one of the drivers. I mean, even let's say, for example, like the Ferrari and Mercedes currently are going around like 2 seconds a lap quicker than everybody else. If you had a tyre that for 10 laps of the race was going to be 3 seconds a lap slower, then that'd mean that you would get Renaults going quicker than Ferraris, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, if they were on the faster tyre, yeah.
But then they would be fucked when they put the slower tyre on.
Yeah, exactly. But it'd all work itself out in the end.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought. I must admit, when it was mentioned, I did think. I mean, I've never been a big fan of the 3 different tyre compounds because for me it creates too big of a difference in speed and potentially can cause crashes, especially in the gaming world. Where if you've got a guy on ultra softs following a guy on mediums, their braking capabilities are dramatically different and it can cause a crash. But in the real world, I mean, it still could cause a crash, but they've got plenty of people to inform them of what tyre the guy head is on and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, even down to the point of how many seconds of lap you're catching them by,
exactly,
because of how many laps that they've done on their shit tyre or whatever.
Where you're quicker, where they're weaker, where you can attack them, where all that kind of information is available for you. Now, so for me, making them use all 3 compounds of tyre, for me, is a good idea. It also means, now, okay, from a production point of view, if you think about it, Pirelli take all of the tyres the team need or have listed for each event. Whether they use the tyres or not, they get taken out there, they get taken away. Now, I would have thought that tyres that don't get used may just get saved and used at a different event, right?
Nope.
But I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then it's just a complete fucking waste of the manufacturer and the product.
Did you know that the tyres, Formula 1 tyres, have a use-by date, a lifespan? Even normal road tyres do, to be fair. If you went into somewhere like Quick Fit, other tyre places are available, they have a sticker put on them with a use-by date because the rubber goes off.
Fair enough.
So what I want to know is, though, with road tyres, once they put them on your car, how do you know when the use-by date is?
That's a good point, because if you don't do many miles, you could have them on there for a long time.
It's like with caravan tyres. There are a lot of reasons why caravan tyres, when you see them parked on people's drives, they have covers over the tyres because the sun gets to the tyres and it shortens the life of the tyre because it rots the material, not actual material, but the way the tyre's made, the rubber. Yeah.
Okay, interesting to know. Right, let's see. Lap 18, Ricciardo pits for the medium tyre. Hamilton now P3, 21 seconds off Vettel. Lap 18, Kimi got the fastest lap. Same lap again. Leclerc pits for mediums. Questioned whether he'd get the undercut on Hulkenberg. And then I wrote, no, he's got a problem. Right rear, not on. What's that, the 4th, 5th time this season we've seen a guy leave the pits without a wheel connected properly?
Yeah, I mean, there was 2 in Melbourne straight off the bat, and then there was one the following race with Ferrari. Yeah. It's one of those things that no matter what the sport is, it's one of those things that could happen at some point.
Wonder if, with the change in the future to bigger rims and stuff like that, I wonder if there'd be a possibility in future of having it so that rather than a generic tyre now is screwed on. I'm thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, there must be technology nowadays where you get your tyre, you're holding it in your hand, car comes in, you go to shove it on and it magnetically sucks itself into place, and then you press a button for it to lock. And you'd have like a light on the actual wheel, and it only goes green when it's fully locked.
Well, you know what? I think that technology would exist, because I could be wrong, but I think that's kind of how NASA docking works, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. In NASA, if something doesn't connect, nothing will show up, and they know they've got a problem. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, car comes in, I'm like simulating it here in my kitchen. Car comes in, you as the car comes in and it stops on its grid spot, there's something laid underneath the grid spot so that when the tyres roll onto it, They demagnetise.
Fall off.
No. I know how you do it. Right. Formula One incorporates IndyCar and touring car style jacks, so the jack is built into the car, so the car jacks itself up. When the car is jacked up, it de-locks the magnetisation, right, so the wheels can be taken off. The new wheels go on and the jacks can't be deactivated until that magnetic connection is made and the lock is made. So even if you've got the wheel on and you're the mechanic going go go go, if it hasn't locked, the car won't drop. See Formula One, that's what you should fucking make.
Patent it quick.
Well, we've just solved how to make it the pinnacle of pit stops.
Yeah,
they're fucking brilliant.
It fucking would be. You wouldn't have any jackmen standing in the way. Okay, it put 2 people out of a job, but I'm sure they could do something else.
Well, you'd need less people then. You just have 2 people per tyre, one to take it off, one to whack it on.
Well, the jack people, they are normal mechanics, like engine mechanic or even a truck driver or something that they have other jobs as well. It's just that they are a front jackman or a rear jackman as well as doing something else.
Yeah, that is true. It has reminded me, I've got another sort of motoring fix I thought of yesterday. If I remember it later, I'll tell you. I'll probably completely forget, but there we go. Okay, lap 20, Ricciardo past Raikkonen in the pits. Close. Hang on, no, that can't be right. I think I've written that wrong. Well, I wrote that it was a close battle anyway. Lap 20.
It was, because Hamilton was catching him up.
Yeah.
And then Ricciardo pitted.
Yes.
And that basically cleared the way for Hamilton to catch up. Raikkonen.
Well, would it have been frustrating for Hamilton? This is my next note saying lap 20, Vettel pits, comes out right in front of Hamilton.
Yeah, I suppose it would have been a bit frustrating for him, but so would have been turn 1.
True.
Well, turn 3.
Okay, lap 21, Kimi ran wide at turn 1 in the dirty. I just remembered something a bit later about the battle towards the end. Kimi was the only one, I think. No, sorry, Vettel was the only one of the top 4 cars that was using DRS through turns 1 and 2 when he had DRS available. No one else was using it through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think they were kind of forced into that though, weren't they? And they set the car up to be able to go through there with the DRS open, whereas pretty much every other team was set up to go through there with it shut.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Lap 21, Bottas pitted for the medium tyre. Lap 22, I wrote, what's Hamilton's strategy? He's still on the softs. So at lap 22, guys, everybody else is pretty much pitted. Hamilton hasn't. What do you think their strategy would have been at that point?
Well, I mean, what would have really spiced things up? I mean, in hindsight, it would have been amazing if Hamilton had just stayed out until the safety car, but you can't guarantee a safety car is going to happen. But if that had happened, I think that would have been quite spicy. But Vettel would have probably still been in front. Because I doubt Hamilton would have been. I think, did he come out in front of Hamilton? I think he did.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of Hamilton, he did the best with what he had. You know, I think it would have. It'd have been almost an impossibility to beat Vettel on fresh soft tyres. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of. I don't know. I don't think it could have got any better for him, but at the same time, like I said earlier, yeah, the safety car helped Hamilton out a lot, but it should be a situation where if Hamilton wants to get from the back of the grid up to the front, it's a hell of a lot harder than what
what it was.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
it shouldn't be possible to get back on the podium from the back.
It shouldn't be, but at the same time, if you got closer racing, it could be. But I think, in a way, it kind of helped that it was at Silverstone as well, where there's a lot of full power sections. There's a lot of places where that Mercedes can just dominate every car out there. If it had been a Monaco, it's not going to happen. If it had been a Spain, it would have been a bit more difficult. Or even Canada. I mean, Canada was a joke this year. So I think the fact that it was at Silverstone as well, where if you have a bit of an advantage, you can make it work and make overtakes. But yeah, it was definitely too easy. I do remember hearing though that what they were trying to do at Mercedes with Hamilton was keep him out as long as possible, in the hope that something may happen that would trigger a safety car or a VSC. I think they were hoping for a VSC when Leclerc lost his wheel, but he parked it in too good of a place, so it wasn't really of any benefit to, or they couldn't use it to a benefit. I mean, I think the only thing they probably could have done is pitted for the medium tyre and just gone to the end like they did anyway. I don't think he'd have finished. I don't think he'd have finished in second had there not been the safety cars at the end anyway. Let's see, lap 22, Sainz and Alonso, closest battle at that point, or at least it was, because within 2 laps the gap went from half a second to 1.4 seconds, which for Alonso isn't bad, beating a Renault, but Sainz was on the harder tyre, the hardest tyre.
I got a question for you.
Go on.
Alright, and I don't know if either of you two will be able to answer this, but if there's anyone viewing that could answer it, it'd be very useful. My toilet's making a really funny noise when I flush it. Listen. It's not going to do it now, is it? It's not doing it. It's been making this howling noise. Like, like that in the middle of the night. It's really annoying.
Oh, well, it's either air or you may have just got a sticky.
Oh, it nearly did it then, but it didn't.
You may have a slightly. Is it when it's filling back up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably just a sticky bobbit.
Ball cock. Ball
cock, that's the one.
Maybe your shit's alive.
Yeah, probably.
Could be a big spider in there. Okay, lap 23, Bottas catching Hamilton. Team orders came into effect at that point, which I wrote down as being a good call from Mercedes. You notice as well there was no, we didn't hear it on the radio, but there was no, like, if there'd have been a disagreement about it, we'd have heard it on the radio.
Yeah, but also when Hamilton caught Bottas back up towards the end, it was obvious that Bottas weren't going to hold Hamilton up.
No. Okay, let's see. Bottas was only 3.8 seconds behind Vettel at that point and did start to close the gap in. Lap 24, Kimi really pushing Ricciardo. I actually wrote, "Come on!" I was enjoying that sort of, can Kimi do it or not? Let's see, lap 25, Hamilton pitted for the mediums, came out behind Kimi, although it was 12 seconds behind. But you mentioned, James, about the Mercedes being overpowered, right? Lap 25, Hamilton's 12 seconds behind Kimi Raikkonen. He got that gap down. So let's see, did I write down exactly what the gap was? He got it down a lot. I don't think I've written down exactly what the gap was. No, I haven't, but it was Hamilton at that point was 1.4 seconds a lap faster than Vettel after he'd pitted, so he was absolutely flying. Okay, lap 26, Magnussen lost 2 places. I wrote down, did he pit, question mark, because I didn't see it, but I think he may have just pitted, because shortly after that Grosjean hadn't pitted. I wrote Grosjean not stopped yet, and then they showed him on the TV pitting. What you cunt. Lap 27, P7 to P10 was quite a close battle. and also P13 to P14 was a close battle, but we weren't seeing that either. And as soon as I'd written that down, they jumped onto that battle, which I think was Alonso. Who else was there? Sainz was there. I think it may have been Grosjean, Magnussen. So yeah, not a bad battle, but not a lot happening, unfortunately. I must admit, the lack of battles lower down the grid is bugging me a bit, because if there's not a lot happening up the front, you still want to be watching something happening further down.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I think it were probably up until Charles Leclerc ended up having his tyre malfunction. He were pretty much exactly the same pace as Hülkenberg in the Renault.
Yeah.
I think he were only like 3 seconds behind him up until pit stop. Now, I've got to say, what that Charles Leclerc is doing in that Sauber is remarkable.
Yeah.
And let's say he does get the Ferrari drive. I cannot wait to see him side by side with Vettel and see what how he copes.
We'll see how Leclerc copes. I mean, the thing that makes him stand out is the fact that he is consistently half a second to 7/10 a lap faster than his teammate in practice, in qualifying, and in the race. Now,
is that though showing that he's a better driver, or is that showing that his teammate's just really shit?
It could be that his teammate's really shit. It could be that his car's got bits the other cars haven't, or it could be that the cars are the same and he's just doing a better job. Either way, where Sauber were in round one to where they are now is a massive step in the right direction. Where Sauber are now compared to where they were...
I thought you were going to say erection then.
Nearly. But yeah, for Sauber, where they are now... I mean, when we were talking about Sauber last year, there is no way in a million years any one of us would have sat here and said, you know what, Sauber are going to be fighting for that best of the rest title.
Yeah.
That wouldn't, not in our mindset at all. But as the commentary team and even Damon Hill said, you look at the timing sheets now and you go, right, where's the Saubers? They're not at the bottom. What's going on? Oh, Charles Leclerc's P7 in qualifying. Well done. He shouldn't be there, but well done.
Yeah, well, it's definitely shows that the Ferrari team are actually giving out equal spec engines.
Yeah.
To Sauber and Haas, because I think that's it. I think in past, I think we may have been flattered by Force India and Williams having Mercedes engines and going, bloody hell, they're good, aren't they?
Mm.
But to be fair, the competitors had year-older engines from Ferrari, so...
Yeah, that weren't getting upgraded. I mean, I remember Steve mentioning that last year the Sauber did have the previous year's engine that was not going to be touched at all, which means at the start of the year they're at a disadvantage, but by the end of the year they're at a bigger disadvantage. So the Haas and the Sauber having this year's Ferrari engine has made a massive difference. I'm surprised that they actually did agree to do that. I mean, I still don't think they'd ever want to give Red Bull of this year's Ferrari engine.
I think it was an FIA thing that one of their rules to do with customer engines must be the current spec. I think that's one of the things that Liberty Media actually brought in, because they didn't want to see a situation like Sauber paying a lot of money for an old Ferrari engine that's going to not even allow them to be competitive with the next team up the grid, never mind anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's see. Lap 39, Hamilton now doing 1:31.6s, second and a half faster than Vettel, who was leading, and he followed that up with a 1:31.5 the next lap. I mean, he was. I mean, I know, James, you said that he went through the grid way too easy. He did, but he was the fastest guy out there by a long shot.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Lap 30, seen P7 battle for 3 laps. Nice. Okay, I remember this now. Yeah, there was I can't remember exactly who it was that was in that battle, but it wasn't any of the Mercs or the Red Bulls or the Ferraris. But it was a battle for 7th place, and the TV crew stayed on it for 3 laps because it was a close battle. And the fact I wrote nice just goes to show that it was a nice change for him to actually fucking do something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with them going, oh, you know what, there's nothing happening up at the front. Let's go and follow the other guys for multiple laps.
That's what the sponsors pay all the money for.
Yep. Now, go on, James.
I was just going to say, I think it should be a situation that, I mean, this is idealistic Formula 1. Yeah. It should be a situation where even if you're the bottom team in the championship, that there's still a possibility, if your driver's good enough, you could still get like within the top 5. And the reason I say that is because like Brundle says this a lot, and it is smart advice for you know, the current regulations of you're not really in that race with that driver, so you might as well just let him go because you can slow his down. Fair enough. But I think the ideal Formula 1 is no matter what, if you're good enough, you can hold who is considered to be the greatest racing driver currently. So let's say I'm in a Sauber.
You could hold up a Vettel or Hamilton.
You could hold up a Vettel and Hamilton and not lose too much time because your car may go 1 second slower per lap, but if you're good enough defending, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my ideal Formula 1 where the slowest car is only 1 second slower than the fastest car.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be a miracle if it ever happened, but I think that's what I want to see. Because like I say, it wasn't just the fact that Hamilton's car was so much quicker, it was the fact that everybody might as well have just been waving him through.
Yeah.
Because they're not in the same race.
Yeah.
That's kind of, for me, why I was like, oh, it's a bit shit. Whereas if he had to actually fight his way through the field and people were like defending left, right and centre and making a bit of a fight of it, it would have been really entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. Bit of news for you, Steve. Dave the Harp says needs a new inlet valve, does your toilet. Also wants to know if James has plugged our race yet. Yes, we have, but we've still got a bit more to do on that later. Cool Dude is asking, do any of you litter? And Dave's responded with, my cat's shit in a litter.
I've got some rubbish in my hand. I can chuck it on the floor, but I don't know if it counts if it's in the same house.
What does it mean? I just respond to him. Oh, actually, he'll be listening.
Yes.
What exactly do you mean by litter?
Okay, James, I'll tell him. What exactly do you mean by litter?
Does that mean like just drive around throwing
shit out the window? No.
Out the window.
Bogies out the window, yeah, no problem.
Or if he means having shit on air, then you missed James doing that right at the start.
Yeah. Okay, on to my next notes. Lap 30. Okay, lap 30. This was once again, I think for me, a point in the race where I was like, they've done it again. Red Bull go, you know what? There's not a lot we can do, so we might as well roll the dice. Ricciardo makes a second pit stop for the soft compound tyre, the fastest tyre, and basically says, right, I'm going to be quicker than all of you guys in front of me now if I can be, so you've got a choice. You either let me catch you up or you pit and do the same. And that sparked a potential situation that unfortunately got cut short because of the safety cars. Lap 32, Bottas was only 2.3 seconds behind Vettel, and I wrote down then, can he get to the end? And then lap 32, Ericsson, big crash, turn 1, same place where Grosjean went off. Thankfully he stepped out, and he crashed because he turned in with his DRS open. Is there anything else you want to mention about that crash, guys, or the effect it may have had on what Red Bull did with Ricciardo?
I think it missed. It stopped us from having.
Whoa!
Who was that? Dave?
Weren't me.
James?
James is laughing. Was that Vicky going, that's my phone?
You just stormed in and went, where's my phone?
Hi, Vicky.
James has been...
She's quiet as a church mouse now.
Yeah.
James has been checking your messages.
So yeah, come on. You would say about Red Bull.
I think having the safety car prevented Ricciardo from benefiting, and also made it didn't have the same knock-on of effect as what it would have had if there wasn't the safety car. Safety cars are really doing my head in at the minute. This season, they just seem to be making so much of an impact on the races, and for me, negative impact.
The only thing I will say is that with the safety car and its usage with the Ericsson crash is exactly how a safety car should and when it should be used. The car's in the line of fire, it's buried in a barrier, he may need medical attention, we need to slow this race down. Right, that was exactly the right situation to use a safety car for me.
Yeah, but also it's pretty much as soon as that car hit the barrier, I saw safety car boards.
Yeah.
Now, previously, when we've had safety cars, there's been like big debate whether they should be coming out or not.
Now either James has got really high-pitched farts at the moment, or Bella's moaning at him.
No, I can hear it.
It's Vicky.
It's a good job I didn't say what I was going to say after you said that. I would have been not connected at all. Yeah, it's either Bella moaning, or it was a cow in James's living room.
No, it was my dog wanting his.
There's no.
It was my dog wanting his cuddly toy brought inside.
All right, his blow-up doll. I agree with you, Steve, and James, that I think the safety car coming out did affect any benefit Ricciardo could have had, and potentially a spice up of the race. What did happen when the safety car came out, though, Vettel pits, puts the softs on. Bottas stayed out. Max Verstappen pits, puts the soft on. I think Verstappen was going to be pitting anyway. Kimi pits, puts the softs on. Hamilton stays out, giving us Bottas in P1, Vettel P2, Hamilton in P3, Verstappen P4, Raikkonen P5 and Ricciardo P6, with Hamilton saying, I don't think I can compete with these guys on these tyres, and his engineer saying, you're faster by miles, even on the harder tyre. Now, I know there's been a bit of talk over the weekend about what happened with Bottas and what happened with Hamilton. So put yourselves in the hot seat at Mercedes. Do you keep Bottas out on track? Do you pit him? Do you keep Hamilton out on track, or do you pit him?
I'll let James go first.
Bottas were P2, wasn't it? I'd have pitted him, but I'd have kept Hamilton out.
Yeah, I think for Hamilton, they only had that one option of keeping him out to try and gain more track position.
Yeah.
But I can't understand why they didn't pit Bottas. That for me was a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, that must have been such a tight call. I mean, putting it into perspective as well. I mean, the track temperature at Silverstone on the Sunday, the only time, I mean, it's 52 degrees. The only time that track temperature had been seen before was the day before. And before that, no one can really remember it. I think the highest people remember it being is about 38 degrees. So to be up at 52 degrees, you are out of the realm of all knowledge of Silverstone on a brand new surface as to what the temperature is going to do to the tyres. So for me, that was a risk that was way too big to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Toto Wolff said afterwards, I think before the safety car came out, they were P2 and P4, I think it was. And when the safety car, by the end of the race, they were in P2 and P4, just in the opposite way round. But they really should have pitted. I mean, if they'd have pitted Bottas, he may have had the pace to take the fight to Vettel. because he would have been right behind him, behind the safety car. And Hamilton, well, let's see, Hamilton would have been, well, it would have been Vettel P1, Bottas P2, and Hamilton P3 possibly, or Bottas just behind Hamilton. But they could have swapped them round, let Bottas go and attack, and see what happens. But yeah, didn't happen.
I can't understand why they didn't bring Bottas in.
No.
I mean, surely, if Vettel would pit and come out behind Bottas surely had the option to pit and come out and still be ahead of Raikkonen.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he should have been able to do that.
Well, not
even if it didn't, even if he came out behind Raikkonen, he would have had fresh tyres.
Well, it wasn't Raikkonen that he would have been ahead of. Well, it would have been, but Max Verstappen was ahead of Raikkonen anyway, because Raikkonen had to serve his 10-second penalty earlier on in the race, which dropped him down a position. So Bottas would have still have been P2, maybe P3, but if it was his teammate ahead of him, they could have just switched him round and let him go and attack him.
Yeah.
What I will say though is, well, was it a sneaky tactic by Vettel saying tell the safety car to slow down?
I don't know about that, whether that was them to try and work, cause the medium tyres on the Mercedes a problem, or whether he genuinely was thinking it was going too quick and it was in that window of it's not going, it needed to go slower to keep the temperatures
down
below a certain, down. Obviously the faster you go, you raise temperatures up of your engine and stuff, but you also got more air blowing in, keeping it cooler. It's easier to keep things cool when you're moving, and the faster you're moving, the cooler it should be. But it's an odd one.
Yeah. Maybe
they just didn't want to put tyre wear on the tyres.
I'm thinking that's what it might have been. I think it was a sneaky trick on that one, to be honest. Okay, lap 37, safety car came in, and Bottas, once again, another great restart after a safety car. Every one I've seen him do has been absolutely fantastic, and he's not come under attack in any way, shape or form.
Just on about the safety car restarts. I mean, Vettel wanted it to go slower. I don't care what Vettel wants. Alright, I'm not saying this because it's Vettel. Surely the guy that's leading the race should be the one that should have the opinion on whether the safety car should be going a bit faster or a bit slower. If he wants to change the speed of the safety car, it should be the leader that wants to change the speed of the safety car, not the guy that's in second, third or fourth or fifth.
The thing is, well, yeah, but I suppose this is where, last week, I think it was last week where I said, if you get rid of tyre blankets and heating up your tyres and stuff like that, and you end up having tyres that you have to take from stone cold up to temperature, they'll be manufactured in such a way that will allow them to heat up, cool down, and you can consider that effect of a safety car period. You can have that factored into the manufacturing process, so that the tyres may go cold and it may take a little while to get them going, but it'll be the same for absolutely everybody, regardless of what compound you're on. But anyway, let's see, Hamilton was under pressure from Verstappen on the restart, but Hamilton, as David Harp said, was still quick on his medium compound tyres and did very well to fend off Max, but also Kimi Raikkonen helped Hamilton out a bit by putting a lot of pressure onto Max Verstappen, and Kimi did the battle between Kimi Raikkonen and Max Verstappen sort of around turn 1, 2, 3 up to the Wellington Straight, round Brooklands, Luffield, was absolutely brilliant with the way that like Kimi overtook Max and Max took him back, and then the side by side down towards turn 9. And as James mentioned earlier, Kimi Raikkonen showing a wise head and going, you know what, I'll lift off here and live to fight another day.
Not like Grosjean. No.
Oh, Ericsson.
So my next note was actually Sainz and Grosjean, cops, big crash, safety car. And I've said it before, safety cars breed safety cars on occasion. This was one of those. I mean, we talked a lot about the crash earlier on, so I don't think we really need to go into that anymore. But I did then write a question. Was that second safety car good for the Mercs or not?
No. Because it allowed the other teams around them to keep their tyres fresher and was able to have less deg. Whereas obviously you were saying the medium tyres had better deg. The only chance that the Mercedes had was if Vettel's front left was going to fall apart on him. And with having more safety car laps, less chance of that happening. Plus, everyone gets to save a bit of fuel. One of the things that Mercedes is good at is running at high speed and not using a lot of fuel, of maximising their top speed and their fuel usage. Obviously, when you've got safety car laps, everyone can run full speed after that.
That is true. Any thoughts there, James?
Pretty much Steve said it all there, really.
Okay. Lap 41, safety car came in. Bottas, again, another great restart. And then did either of you notice Crofty's fuck up?
I might have done, but you'll have to remind me.
Well, on the restart, part way down the order, was a couple of cars going at it, and Crofty goes, "Oh no, Magnussen! He's lost out to Magnussen!"
Yes. Yeah, because I just straight away thought Murray Walker.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm eating.
It's alright.
Carry on talking while you're eating then.
Alright. Good luck, YouTube subtitles. Okay. After lap 41, we're then obviously into the battle at the end. Vettel attacking Bottas. Max had a problem going through Maggots and Beckett's as well. Kimi got ahead of him, didn't waste any time. But yeah, then we're into that battle to the end, and Max Verstappen spinning, having a problem with his brakes, and then basically getting his car stuck in fourth gear was what caused his retirement.
I thought it wasn't the problem with his brakes, it was the reason we were stuck in fourth that spun him.
It was, but he'd had a problem with his brakes earlier on in the race, and the problem with the brakes came back again, which is why he went off at Maggots and Beckett's. The spin was to do with the brakes and being stuck in fourth, but then he was retired because of being stuck in fourth, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so come on then. We talked a little bit about the battle at the end. I have got more notes here. I could just waffle through them, but I just want to know...
Have either of you seen the footage that's been released on YouTube where it's on board with Alonso behind
Yes. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I don't understand how Magnussen wasn't given a penalty for fucking just chopping people up.
Yeah.
The reason is, right, because, and this is stupid because this is what's been said before to Alonso. Alonso's responded to the fact that he's been cut up and avoided an incident. If there had been an incident, yeah, then there would have been a penalty handed out. But Alonso avoided the incident.
Yeah, well, Alonso said, well, it's going to end in a massive crash, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, so basically you can get away with fucking being dirty as fuck because you're basically intimidating all your rivals not to come anywhere near you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one for me where I think if I was part of the stewards, I might be like, okay, in your rules at the moment, there isn't a penalty that could be applied, but I'm going to fine him for dangerous driving.
Yeah.
He needs to, I mean, reprimands. I mean, I don't know if you saw the interview with Ocon from just before the weekend. Ocon was given a reprimand. And he was asked, what effect does the reprimand have on how you approach the rest of the season? He goes, oh, it don't have none, it don't mean anything. And straight away I'm like, well, it don't mean anything, why are they giving out reprimands?
Yeah. It's just a fancy word to make it look like they're getting bollocks.
I mean, how many reprimands did Vettel get last year when he should have been fucking given massive penalties.
What about Max Verstappen this year? I mean, how many times has he caused incidents? And yet, people have said, "Oh, he's going to have to change the way he drives." He wasn't reprimanded once.
No.
And he even said, "I am not going to change the way I drive."
Yeah.
It just means he's going to keep having accidents.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I did see the footage with. I must have, because I heard about it on the commentary. Obviously, they were talking about apparently. We've heard on the Team Radio channel that Alonso was complaining about Magnussen. A replay we didn't see. Now, see, this is the kind of thing where I do get annoyed with the replay stuff. That's something that the commentary team know about. They've informed us about, but we don't get to see. So we're like, oh, okay, so what's that then? That's the kind of thing that at some point, I mean, I don't know, maybe at the end of the race when the cars are making their way to the podium or the Parc Fermé, they can ram in as many replays in there as they want.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing happening. The cars are coming back to the pits. Ram as many replays in there as you want. It used to be fun having the TV camera in with the drivers and hearing what they say to each other, but to be honest, they all go, "Oh fuck, there's a camera, let's not talk." So don't bother.
They know it's there now.
Yeah, so don't bother showing that. That's when you can show us the replays and stuff, and you can show us those little things that we may have missed in a chaotic end to the race. I mean, it's a little bit like with. I didn't realise. I'd heard that obviously earlier on in the race. Grosjean and Magnussen were under investigation for a collision at turn 3. I didn't see a replay of it until very, very late on in the race, I think it was, when Ted mentioned, "Oh well, Magnussen's got a lot of damage to the floor of his car, and that was caused on lap 1." Yeah, and that was caused on lap 1. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, we're on about lap 40 now. What's going on? How come we've only now found out about this when it's been known since lap 1? Anyway. Right, I am going to go through my notes and then I can say that I'm done. Okay, let's see. Lap 44, great battle for the lead, top 4 within 2 seconds, and I wrote down, this is what F1 should be. I don't even know what the fuck I've written there. Literally, it says, "I'm too Ling." What the fuck?
I'm doodling.
No. I have no idea what that's meant to say, unless it's meant. I have no idea. Honestly, it looks like some kind of Chinese writing. I'm going to say though that it should say, "This is what F1 should be all the time." Lap 45 and lap 46, Vettel had his DRS open through turn 1. That's what was allowing him to get really close heading onto the Wellington straight.
Yeah, I think even Hamilton and Kimi were opening the rear.
No, they weren't. I don't know whether they weren't brave enough, or like Steve said, their cars weren't set up for it.
Yeah.
See, lap 46, Max spun from P5. And I actually wrote, "This is epic," one of James's old quotes, because at that point I was enjoying watching what was happening on track at that time.
Yeah, that point where it were close between top 4 or 5, I was like, yeah, this is what it should be like. Absolutely flat. You could tell every single driver were pushing flat out, and you don't see that. You don't see that. The only reason why you saw that was because it was like a 10-lap sprint race.
Yeah.
But it's clearly that's what it should be from start to finish. Absolutely flat out on the limit.
I mean, that's the thing. How often do you think the engineers were telling their drivers to turn their engine down in those last few laps? No.
Well, they wouldn't have been, because the fuel consumption was there for them to use.
They've got to be given the tools that allow them to push, to go for it. I would honestly, I mean, I've raced in series where you have to consider fuel economy drastically. Like, for example, even if you fill your tank, you don't have enough fuel to get to the end of the race unless you use slower engine modes. I hate that. I hated racing like that.
It's not racing.
It's not. It's mathematics.
It's getting from A to B.
Yeah. And for me, that really annoyed me, because you'd have people that would go. I mean, I'd find out that people are using much higher engine modes than me, but using a lot less fuel, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe part of that's down to me driving style. But I don't like this style of racing. I want to be able to jump in and go, right, I know my tyres are going to last 10, 12 laps. I know my fuel can get me to the end. I don't want to be turning my engine modes up and down and up and down and up and down and sideways and backwards and all this kind of bullshit. Just let me fucking drive. But that's not how it is at the moment. That's not how Formula 1 is. I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, I know we've been playing on GT Sport a bit, and that is literally, there's not a lot you can do with the setup, so it is pretty much just jump in and drive and just have a bit of fun with it. I mean, I don't know whether in your racing league, James, whether you're having car setups and stuff like that, but I think I've sort of got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I really don't want to be spending all week or 2 weeks working on a setup and then have a race that's potentially ruined.
Yeah, no, it was you could change your setup for the first 3 seasons, but a bit like Formula 1, you found that certain drivers who were really, really good at setting up cars were pulling out, like, in a quali lap, the top 5 would be spread over about 3 seconds. You'd be like, well, this is the top 5, and the entire field was spread across about 8 and 9 seconds.
Yeah.
Whereas this season, I've just set it to default and said, good luck and get on with it. Yeah. And it's been a hell of a lot closer. I think the full field from front to back's been about 3 seconds.
Yeah. Actually, I remember telling you about that a couple of years ago. To get rid of the setup.
How does the game cope if someone's had a setup pre-selected on the car they're going to use from a previous race or event that they've done themselves, and then when they come to race in that car,
it just locks it.
To what setup? How do they know what setup it's going to lock it to?
Yeah, well, it locks it to the standard setup on the game.
How would somebody get back to the standard setup? Is there like a revert to standard setup?
No, when the game loads up and you put on it on set to a standard setup, everything's like if you go to the setup page, everything's like behind like a firewall, so everything's behind. You can't touch anything, you can't move anything, you can't.
It's all reset to default.
So if I wanted to,
you can't load the previous setup.
So if I was to join your racing league and wanted to practice, I would have to practice in an online race with it set to default setup only.
Yeah.
Got you.
Or you do it offline and default the setup.
Can you default the setup offline?
Well, yeah, you just don't touch the setup.
Or if you have already.
There's a reset to default.
Yeah, you can reset to default.
Right. That's all right.
Yeah. Okay, back to my notes quickly before we plug James's league properly. Okay, let's see. Where did I get up to? Yeah, lap 46. Verstappen spun from P5. I wrote this is epic. Lap 47. Vettel. It was a nice move in Brooklands on Bottas. I'm not a fan of his, but I will say it was a very good overtake that he did.
Saw it coming though, to be honest, 2 or 3 laps earlier, and the one time Bottas didn't cover it off was the time that Vettel was the closest to him.
Actually, it wasn't. You obviously didn't see the bit that Anthony Davidson did after the race.
I don't watch that after the race.
Right, in all honesty, you should have watched this one. It was very interesting. I usually don't, but because of what happened in the race, I did. And there was a few bits that I wanted to know about. Now, Anthony Davidson had a look at the attempted overtakes by Vettel on Bottas, right? And David Harp saying you can actually load a loose or stable setup in default mode. So even in default mode, you do get a loose or stable setting. But Anthony Davidson was having a look at the attempted overtakes by Vettel, and then comparing them to the one where he actually made the overtake. The one where he made the overtake, it was actually the furthest away that he'd been, And that's what Anthony Davidson said he thought caught Bottas out, in that when they come round to the sort of DRS activation point, Vettel was about 2 car lengths further back than he had been, right? So Bottas has probably looked in his mirror and gone, oh, he's too far back. And that's why he's not covered it off and defended it, and Vettel's been able to pounce. And as you might know, Steve, sometimes when you're in a slipstream, the closer you get, the less of a slipstream you get. So sometimes you're better off being that little bit further back and getting more of a slipstream.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like if you're at Spa and you're following somebody up Eau Rouge, there's no point of being right on their rear end up Eau Rouge. Because by the time you get to the top of Eau Rouge, you're not going to benefit from the slipstream. Because you need to be pulling out to go around them. But if you drop 2 or 3 car lengths off before you get up to Eau Rouge, so then come out the top of Eau Rouge, you've got 2 or 3 car lengths then for the slipstream to take effect, for it to suck you in towards their car, and then you can slingshot past them.
Exactly. Okay, lap 48, Verstappen out, stuck in 4th gear. And then again on lap 48, Hamilton passes Bottas. I mean, Bottas was clearly struggling at that point. Ricciardo was catching Raikkonen. Bottas tyres are dying. Kimi passes Bottas. I must admit, while this battle was going on, I was looking at our predictions and I was kind of like going, yeah, come on. Well, actually, no, fuck off. I don't want this to work, because I didn't want Vettel to win. And as much as I like Raikkonen, I wanted Bottas to get the podium. So when Kimi got past Bottas, I was kind of like, yeah, no, but yeah, it's all right. And then Ricciardo was also got very close to Bottas, but wasn't able to make the move. And then I wrote, and James, you'll like this, I reckon. I wrote, when it's like this at the front, yeah, who gives a fuck about a P12 battle?
Unfortunately, because it's been so lacklustre, that's all we can grasp onto. It's like, well, there's a battle there, we might as well watch that because this is boring as fuck. Whereas, yeah, when you have got a battle up at front like that,
yeah,
you don't really give a shit about what's going on behind.
Exactly. Let's see, lap 50 replay. Gasly and Perez fight, bit of contact, bit of damage. Gasly got ahead. Have either of you heard whether Gasly was penalised for that?
Don't know.
Okay, I shall have a quick look then. Because if Gasly was penalised for it, it means that their positions will have switched around. Unless he's got a grid drop.
I think he did get penalised. I'm pretty sure that he got a 3 position move back, so finished in P10 and really...
Yeah, he did. P13, yeah. I don't know exactly what his penalty was, but yeah, he's looking at the classified finishing order. Yeah, he ended up P13 behind Lance Stroll.
Oof. See, that's harsh, that is, because of the safety car, it allowed the Williams to unlap themselves.
True.
Now, if Gasly's been given a penalty, say whether it's a 10-second, 20-second, 30-second penalty, the cars that have been allowed to unlap themselves because of the safety car, you can't put Gasly behind them, surely.
Well, he may have got a 5-second penalty, because I think I remember them saying that Perez finished about half a second or 6/10 behind Gasly, which would put Gasly on a 34.1. Put a 5-second penalty on him, it's 39.1, and that's what his finishing time was. So it may have been a 5-second penalty. It may have just been, I doubt it'd be a 3-place drop, but it might be a 5-second penalty that would lose him 3 places.
It's all out of the points anyway, you gives a fuck.
Well, it would have been for 1 point though.
Yeah. But I'm on about the fact that he's ahead of a Williams.
Yeah, that's true.
Would should have been.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. My final notes were very exciting race. Vettel very well done. Hamilton was class. Raikkonen very well done. Bottas bad call. Driver of the day. Hamilton got driver of the day, but James, who would you have given driver of the day to? You realise he's not got mute off yet.
Oh.
Evening, Vicky.
I like the way Vicky's listening in. Yeah, come on, James.
I'd probably say no.
Did Vicky say Verstappen?
Did Verstappen get spun round, or did he just spin himself?
He spun himself when it was locked in 4th gear.
Muppet. No, definitely not then. No.
Well, at least now we know who Vicky fancies in Formula 1.
No, she likes Ricardo.
Oh, it's the smile, you see.
Yeah, and his big nose.
Yeah, you know what they say about people with big noses.
Big bogies.
Big bug.
Bigger bogies, yeah.
Don't need a snorkel when you got a big nose.
I'd probably say Charles Leclerc. Even though he didn't make it to the end of the race, he had a brilliant race.
Fair enough, Steve.
I'd say you've got to give it to Hamilton. And the reason why I say that, Vettel was given driver of the day at Paul Ricard for coming from the back to where he did in the race after he caused somebody else because he had the collision with Bottas. So if Vettel can get it, yet he's been at fault for something, then yeah, you've got to give it to Hamilton this time.
Fair enough. I don't think I could disagree with that. And the last thing I wrote was Lewis think Ferrari did it on purpose. Thought it was he thought it was tactics at the time. Raikkonen has since apologised, and Lewis now doesn't think it was done on purpose. Do you guys think it was on purpose?
Did you see the body language when the question was asked to Lewis in the press conference afterwards?
No.
I've seen this only recently on YouTube. I think it was yesterday I saw this on YouTube. Basically, somebody said to Lewis, do you think it was deliberate from the Ferrari driver? And literally straight away, when the Ferrari drivers realised that was the question that was being asked, both of them head down, don't want to look at the camera, and it was literally, they were shying away from trying to give any facial expression. They were both literally looking downwards. And for me, that just showed guilt.
Oh, so you thought that maybe it was on purpose then?
That was my thought.
I wonder what James thinks.
James, we're laughing at you.
Sorry, I'm just making a brew.
Should we ask Vicky what she thinks then?
Yeah, Vicky, what did you think? Do you think the Ferraris did it on purpose? You're bound to know about it because James will have talked about it. She's gone now.
She's gone shy, that's what it is.
It was Ricardo's big nose that's done it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, shit.
James is making another cuppa.
Yep.
Okay. Well, while we wait for James to come back, it may be a few minutes. He'll come back in a second and go, I'm gonna have to go, guys. I've cut my hand on a mug.
Yeah.
You've cut your hand on a mug?
No.
You were right, you were going to say that.
Oh yeah, he did say it. No, I said that's what you might say.
Alright, no, I just dropped a glass. I'll just do one more second, I'll be there.
Okay. Well, in a second, we'll find out whether James thought it was on purpose or not. Dave the Arp says he doesn't think Kimi would risk it, even if told to. I don't think he did it on purpose. And seeing the interview straight after the race, I don't know, I didn't get the impression of... Well, I got more of an impression of remorse rather than intent. Yeah, so when
yeah.
Right, I'm back.
Right, okay, James. Hamilton said, and obviously since he's retracted it, but he said he thought it was interesting tactics from the Ferraris. So do you think it was intentional?
I think a lot of things probably go through your head as you're driving, and then like, oh, it was a bit suspicious, and clearly they were a bit pissed off about it because he didn't even hang around when he got out of his car. You were like, oh, cheers. But yeah, I don't think it were intentional. I think, but what we fail to see is we see it off board and we see all the drivers' reactions and everything. So when we get to the end of the race, we've got a bit of a decent picture built up in his head. Whereas Hamilton, all he's got is he feels the bump, and then his brain's going, well, was that intentional or what? You know what I mean? That's all he's got to go on.
Yeah. Now, did you hear what Brundle said? You know how Hamilton didn't want to do the interview in Parc Ferme? Did you hear what the FIA guy said to Brundle?
No.
Right, you know when the guys usually sort of, they get to the end of the race, they're in the Parc Ferme, or they're going up to the driver's room. There's always the same FIA guy.
The media
he's got
guy.
like curly hair and a bit of a goatee.
Yeah, right. He's always there, and he's obviously it's part of his job. Well, when Brundle obviously must have been told we'll interview Hamilton on the podium, which I thought it was nice for him to be able to do that. But Brundle did say a bit after that in the after show, he says, I can't remember the FIA guy's name, but he basically said, before I went up onto the podium, he did turn to me and he said, look, just be careful when you're interviewing Lewis, because the reason he didn't want to talk to you was because he thought he'd been taken out on purpose and he didn't want to react if he was asked about it. So Lewis Hamilton, like, leaving the Parc Ferme area, A, was frustration, but B was also, I don't want to say something I shouldn't. And apparently he was in or close to tears at the point when he did get out of the car and was heading up to the driver room.
Oh yeah, but I think a load of armchair pundits and people that have not clearly ever been in a sporting environment themselves probably look at Hamilton and go, oh, what an immature little bitch, you know, he can't even...
Yeah.
But from his point of view, it's like, I'm on the biggest stage, I've got pole position, I had a shit start, but I could have won it. And he probably feels like he needs to win it in front of his own crowd, and, you know, puts a lot of pressure on himself and stuff like that. And when he doesn't hit the target that he knows he's capable of, he's disappointed. Not only is he got like a conspiracy theory in his head thinking, have they took me out on purpose, but also he's probably just more pissed off at himself that he hasn't got the win in front of the home crowd. But loads of people will look at that and go, oh, what an immature little bitch. But they've never been a competitive person, clearly. To not understand that. Yeah.
I mean, I remember missing a penalty in a cup final, and if someone had stuck a microphone under my nose to find out what I was thinking at that time, would not have been the best of time to try and give an interview. And I mean, I know Hamilton did come out later that day and sort of say that like, not necessarily the pressure, but there was a lot of expectation. He had expectation of himself and what he could do, and basically exactly what you just said. And by the end of the race, it had taken its toll on him. Which I mean, it'd be a little bit like, okay, England are playing in a World Cup semi-final tomorrow. And I know I said to Steve the other day, and I even put it on Facebook, saying, even if England get beat tomorrow, they have already overachieved. So they've already been successful. Nobody expected them to get to where they have done. But that doesn't change the fact that if England lose tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of footballers on that team that are going to be crying their eyes out, and there's going to be a lot of people here and all over the world that are England supporters that are going to be upset as well. But it's those armchair supporters, as you say, James, that go, oh well, they're just fucking shit, aren't they? So hang on a minute, no, they've already surpassed what everybody expected of them. So it doesn't matter what happens next. They've already achieved more than anyone thought they could do. And on that, everyone's gone quiet.
So I was looking for that picture of them in the press conference, and it wasn't the fact that they were looking down, it was the fact that they both put their hands to the face and looked down as well.
Right.
And normally when someone puts the hand to cover their face, it's because they're embarrassed to show a facial expression.
Does look a bit dodgy, that, doesn't it? But having said that, Hamilton's looking down as well.
He's in the middle of talking.
Fair enough. Okay, I suppose we better get on to how we got on with the predictions for,
we don't
for this race.
Why
not? Why not?
Well, I know I got 1 point.
Yep. James, do you know how many points you got?
None.
No, you're wrong.
Ooh. I did predict that Grosjean would crash.
Yeah, he wasn't first to crash out in the race though. He was first to crash out in the weekend, and he did crash out in the race.
Maybe we'll have to change that one to who's going to be the first to crash out over the weekend.
Yeah. Okay, so going through it then. Pole position. Steve said it'd be Hamilton. It was. James said it'd be Vettel. It wasn't. I said it'd be Kimi. It definitely wasn't. So Steve gets 1 point there. Winner, Steve went for Hamilton, so you must have been gutted at the end of lap 1.
Yeah.
James went for Kimi, so unlucky there, James. I went for Vettel, so I get a point for that. Podium, Steve, you went for Hamilton, Bottas and Vettel. Should have been, yeah. James went for Kimi, Hamilton, Ricciardo, and I got lucky as fuck because I went for Vettel, Hamilton and Kimi, and I just know that when James sent me the message the other day saying, "Well done, Dave, you ought to add on to that, you lucky cunt."
He's just walked out looking gobsmacked.
Why?
Due to the C word.
Oh right, apologies, Vicky. I don't mean it. If I did mean it, I wouldn't say it again. But there we go. Okay, first to crash out. Steve said Grosjean. James said Grosjean. I said Stroll. We were all wrong on that one. Total DNFs. Steve went for 3. James went for 6. I went for 4. And James, you got that one absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grosjean. You did me proud there.
Well, it was actually Verstappen that clinched it for you, though. Although I was technically divided on this one, right? Because Verstappen didn't finish the race, but he was classified as finishing 15th. But
did he go over the line when the checkered flag was flying?
No, he did not. So you do get the point for it.
That's what I got.
Yeah. Now I very nearly also went, well, you know what? You were so spot on with that. I'd give you 6 points, but then I thought, no, I'm not giving you 6 points for a lucky guess on a fucking number when I only get 3 for getting the exact podium in the exact order right. So there we go. But you do get a point. Okay, this last one. Fucking typical. We went for Max Verstappen's family exposure during the race. How many times will we see Verstappen's family on the TV during the race? The answer was fucking none. The one fucking none, not once.
They're listening to this podcast, you see.
It's surprising how many times we've said stuff on the podcast and the following week something's happened.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
Whether it's the change of the rules, something's not right with the cars or the circuit, or a certain driver should do something, or the FIA need to change something.
Or Steve, Fredo Gate.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll get onto that we'll get onto that in a minute. Okay, so with Max's family exposure, Steve went for 6, James went for 3, I went for 11. And if memory serves, on that one, I did say closest gets the points, which means James, with a wrong answer of 3, is right and gets a point.
Come on.
Which means, I just thought actually I probably should send you two the picture as well, shouldn't I? And then you get to see it. Which means Well, actually, seeing as you can't see it at the moment, I'll let you look at the picture and you can see what the points are. We have a clear leader, we have a clear second place, and we have a clear last place. All I'm going to say is it doesn't matter how this ends up. So far, I'm the only person that twice has got a that once has got a podium absolutely correct. But not only have I done it once, I've done it twice.
Just goes to show how lucky you are.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. Right? Other than Freddo Gate, because we'll get onto that in a minute. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about the British Grand Prix?
Yeah, I think it needs to be rerun. Like Star Wars, the last episode needs to be recreated, rewritten.
Why? So you can get some extra points?
Because Hamilton was robbed.
True, he was. Anything else, James?
I think it could have been a lot worse. I think, like Vettel said at the end of that race, something about like in Italian, like we've beat them on their home ground or whatever.
Yeah.
If I were Hamilton and I beat Vettel in Germany, I'd be like, I beat him on his home ground, silly twat.
Well, the thing is, if you remember, I mean, I don't know if you wouldn't have seen it if you didn't see the after show. They had a chat with Arriva Bene, and Ted.
It were a rarity, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Ted asked him. He says, "Is there anything in Vettel's or any like premeditated thinking about Vettel's comments about beating them on their own turf?" And Arriva Bene sort of goes, no, that doesn't matter to me, because if I say that, then we could go to Monza and they could beat me. And I thought, well, we did go to Monza last year, they did beat you, and they did the in-lap side by side all the way round the circuit to emphasise the 1-2 that they got.
Well, I was just about to say that because Vettel's now said we beat them on their home ground, well, in a way, Hamilton has got 2 circuits now to try and get back at them.
Yeah.
Because they've got Germany, and also they've got Monza. But something else though that Hamilton should probably drop in there at some point is, well, I'm not going to be able to beat them next season. It's his own ground, am I? Because they've done away with the German Grand Prix for 2019.
Yeah.
And what do you think to Mercedes saying, unfortunately, we're not in a position to help hold the race?
I think they're every right to do that.
Is it? Which one is it this year? Is it Hockenheim this year, isn't it?
Nürburgring.
Nürburgring. So it's Nürburgring this year. So Hockenheim should be next year. So Hockenheim is the one that tends to get sponsored more by Mercedes, and is known as more of the Mercedes home race because I know they have the Mercedes stand. And that's where they have all the dignitaries turn up to and
yeah, Nürburgring, they've got that down at turn 1. They've got that little grandstand.
Yeah,
but it's only small compared to one at Hockenheim.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's a little bit like, okay, Silverstone is not government funded, whereas other racetracks around the world have some form of government funding. Germany's an interesting one. I mean, I don't know whether it's just financial or what, but I mean, for me, the Nürburgring is not necessarily a great racetrack anyway. It's got a couple of brilliant corners, but I don't like turn 1, I don't like turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5 and 6, 7, 8 and 9 are alright. The rest of the track you can fuck it off as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I've got to disagree. I seem to remember there was a Hockenheim Grand Prix, and I think it were Mark Webber in a Red Bull, Fernando.
I'm sure Dave was talking about Nürburgring.
I was.
Oh, what it? Oh,
yeah. Yeah, Nürburgring. Yeah, there's 4 or 5 corners that are alright. The rest of the track I don't like it. Hockenheim. I mean, you've raced the classic layout. The classic layout is amazing. The more modern version, okay, I'm not a fan of turn 2 and turn 3. The rest of the track, love it. Proper racetrack.
Yeah. Do you know what it is with Nürburgring for me? is it's a great circuit for how should I put this? Tin tops, sports cars, but not necessarily for Formula One. It doesn't suit Formula One of the modern era of Formula One, whereas Silverstone does. And Silverstone for me is too big a circuit for sports cars. Too big, wide open, fast sweeping corners, and that's why quite often, or not quite often, but the British touring cars, they run on the short circuit there. So Hockenheim is probably better for Formula One than Nürburgring, but I don't know, it's an odd one, and I think maybe I'm only saying that because I like the old Hockenheim long circuit. And when you think about what I like about the Hockenheim circuit nowadays, it is the old part of the circuit. There's the twisty bit in the stadium section, which I used to fucking hate.
Yeah. Other things I do love the twisty bit as well now, though.
But before, when it was the old circuit, wasn't it the bit of the circuit that you weren't keen on?
It would be, yeah, because you'd set your car up for very low downforce and then wonder why you can't get around the corners. As soon as we're talking about Hockenheim, should we have a look at whether James managed to accomplish his commentary challenge this week?
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
So just remind us again, James, what it was you needed to say.
Cannibalistic ball bag.
Surely not. Surely you didn't get it in this week.
I think it was Sheriff J.W. Pepper got it in.
Now I will. Right, okay, Fred. I'm going to show this video clip in a second. Right, I'll send it to you so you can get it loaded up ready. I watched James's his race footage, and if you listen to our podcast regularly, you may have heard that a couple of weeks ago, me and Steve sort of gave James the idea of what he could do to emphasise some seriousness about his racing league, even with the comical commentary, to emphasise seriousness of the driving, is you could have your race steward make an appearance in the commentary. And I must admit, the guy said about 4 words and I just went, that's Kermit the fucking Frog, that is. But what I will go on. I mean, what I was going to say, I've no idea who the character is he was meant to be, but I do like what you did, right? The way you did it and how you went about it, showing the different angles from the people that were affected and the description of why and what and how, I thought it was all brilliant. It was all very, very good. Anyway.
Cheers.
You're welcome. Anyway, so okay, James had his commentary challenge of getting cannibalistic ball bag into his commentary. So we'll find out if he managed to do it. But not only that, he's got a new co-commentator with him, which was quite entertaining. So when you two are ready, I'll hit go.
I'm ready.
Did you notice as well throughout the video the co-commentator got faster and faster and faster at speaking?
Let's see, because when it came to recording this particular clip, I think it was, I wanted to cut it off at some point, but he just kept going and talking and talking and talking and talking. I don't think he'll fucking shut up in a minute. He just fucking keeps going and going and going and going. And in the end, I was just like, right, I'm going to have to fucking cut it there. Right, okay, 3, 2, 1, enjoy.
3 laps remaining now left of this race. Can James Hulkenberg hunt down AFC Guna? I'm not too sure. If he does, he will have to push his foot as hard to the floor as anybody, Jeremy. Yeehaw! Yeah, sure we'll do it now, boy. He will have to definitely be, pushing this his Ford GT as hard as he can. He's trying to hunt down AFC Guna and running through there chicane wide, really wrestling the back end of that car through there on the power as quick as possible, trying not to overheat them tires as we see AFC Guna here blasting through the second chicane, absolutely flying through there, absolutely fantastic for AFC Guna. And let's see now, can James Hulkenberg blast through here? I'm not too sure. Taking a lot of club, boy, that was out of control almost. That was as out of control as a cannibalistic ball bag there from James Hulkenberg. But yeah, you can see now Iceman is already overtaking Grandin. He's all up behind Jesus now. Jesus, can he disappear into thin air? I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure Iceman could want him to disappear in the thin air. No, he's run off the circuit there, and the Iceman through there, and Iceman now is still in the lead of the race, but he's passed both them back markers. But this is game on for Grander, who is down in P8, hunting down Jesus in P7 now, boy.
That was half expecting you to go, is Jesus gonna disappear in the thin air? No, he can't, but he can walk on water.
Yeah, but it started, I don't know, it just started as a generic American, and then it just turned into, as soon as I started saying boy, it just turned into Sheriff J.W. Pepper.
So what's happened to Paul then? Have you killed him off like you did Justin?
No. Well, this is it. Paul keeps going, oh, so we're doing it this week. I'm like, yeah. And then something will happen and we end up not doing it, and I end up having to do it on my own. But he has been mentioning about reprising Nigel. So with this race though that's happened last night at Donington Park, I think I might have to get him back for it, because it was an absolute cracker. I think possibly that video about respect probably helped a fair bit. Yeah, there was some absolutely fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing and no smashes at all.
Right, one of the things I think you're going to have to do, right, is, because me and Steve don't live far from Donington Park, so you're going to have to find something that you can see on the screen that you can make out is where we live.
Right, do you know there's
Well, when I saw it out a window, I was thinking, oh, I wonder whereabouts Dave and Steve live.
Well, you know where your plane was flying and you took a picture down to the left of the airport, of Donington Park? Literally, same distance to the right is where we would be.
Yeah, pretty much you'd have been flying over our ass, probably.
Oh, flying over our ass? I didn't feel nothing on my ass.
We're about, as a crow flies, we're about 4 miles from Donington.
And as Steve drives, about 2 miles.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Do you want to play a game?
Well, before we do, we need to give James his next word for next week.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, come on then. What have you got? What thoughts? If you're listening, folks, if you've got anything that you want James to say,
I've got something, but I'm going to need to have your agreement with this. But since it's at Donington,
yeah,
I think James should get the words in. It's coming home.
But what happens if England lose tomorrow?
Then it's fucking stupid. But it's at Donington, so it's coming home. But also there's the England thing, yeah. But I did have something else as well in mind. I was listening to a song and I thought, that'd be interesting to get him to say.
And what
that's My Anaconda.
What?
So it's yours, as in my anaconda.
That sounds a bit like my anaconda brings all the boys to the yard. Boom, 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 boom. Well, that one hit a dead brick, did it?
So come on then, you say something.
I really want to remember what it was that I came up with last night, and I really can't think of what it was. And I know it was really good, but oh well.
So yeah, what am I doing again? It's coming home, is that all I'm saying?
I think we should make him sing it.
As Alan Partridge.
Sorry, I've just remembered something. Right, it's funny that you've just said, okay, remember, right, this is nothing to do with your commentary, but just remember that Steve has said he wants you to sing It's Coming Home, okay? Just remember that, it'll come to fruition in a bit. I can't think of anything that, actually, okay, right, just because I've got an empty pack of them here, barbecue sausage rolls.
Yeah, okay, I can get that in, yeah.
Okay. Better than whatever it was. Well, I don't know if it's better, but more child friendly than whatever it was I thought of last night. Because I'm pretty sure last night had something to do with gorillas' testicles.
Oh yeah, King Kong's balls.
Yeah.
Get that in.
Well, anyway, we can always see if we think of anything a little later on. Anyway, right? Okay, guys, would you like to play a game?
No, because I know I've not prepared one.
Oh, James, have you prepared a game?
Well, I asked you both to watch them Star Wars episodes. Have you both watched them?
I have. I was actually hoping you were going to say no, but
I haven't, because it wouldn't let me. Because I clicked on the link and it kept on changing to a different page every time I hit play.
Ah, right. Okay, James, if you've got something to do with that, we should do something with that in a little while, because I was fully prepared for neither of you to have a game for today. So I thought it might be time to revisit someone, or should I say some people.
Oh, Handel!
Oh, Handel, it would be better if I put the right picture up. Okay, so it'd be Handel, but Steve and James, they do not know anything about what I'm about to do.
Oh dear me.
That's a shame. That's such a shame.
Well, what I have is a little story for us to tell. I will send you all of the story. So, you wait 1 minute. Okay, so I have sent you the story.
Right, hang on.
So, right, hang on. Okay. You don't need to read too far into it. You just need to know that it's time for Hando. I just need to get something ready.
Bloody hell.
I can't get it to work at the minute. The chat's broke. Hang on. Oh, don't crash on me. What the hell? I think it's because I was watching YouTube through that clip. Right, okay. Yep. I got it ready.
Okay, right. You wait 1 minute. Okay, so Steve, you ready? James, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the Hando boys are working hard in their workshop, and one of the guys seems happier than normal.
It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming. It's coming home. It's coming.
Oh, you're watching porn again?
I don't know why you sing that song. You're not even English.
England? I'm not singing about England. I'm singing about a car coming home from the Red Bull wing. Oh, I call that car football because you have to kick it to make a move.
Why is there a racetrack around a bull's asshole? If there's a bull's asshole, maybe we should make a track called Handle Magical Masturbation Technique International Challenge Hall, or Come on, tits for short.
When I get that, I will probably laugh.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
I sense the panic in his voice.
Oh, I How do I do a French accent? Oh,
Oh la la.
what's my leading?
Oh la la.
We are on a journey. Hello, it's Eric Boost here. Is that the Handle headquarters?
Who's on the phone?
Some guy wanting to cut our heads into quarters.
No. Why would he do that? That is scary as the zombie Jerry Halliwell. Oh, sorry. You know.
It's you.
Oh, pastry. Oh, fuego. Oh, I can't do French to save my life.
Yay, come on. La la la. All you got to do is that's Japanese French. Just think sexy, yeah. James. Hello.
We are on a journey. Oh, the picture. Wait, no, I want a job. I'm very
No,
good
that's
at
the
what
wrong
I do.
line. You got to go
Hello. Hello. I don't want to cut your heads at all. I want to know if you want some chocolates.
Oh, chocolate. Who want chocolate? No. What chocolate? What chocolate you got? What you want for chocolate? An angel, a battery, a photo of Jane naked on sofa?
The picture. Wait, no, I want a job. I'm very good at what I do. I'm the best at what I do.
If you the best, then why you want job here?
Oh, it's because I got fired. Wait, I mean resign. I resigned.
That sounds like you bullshit to me. Why you get fired for, Mr. Booby?
It's no boobies.
Is it Boost EA?
Boost, yeah. Boost, yeah. It's no boobies. I got fired because nobody liked my chocolate. They said I was too tight and hairy to fuck out Mars bar. There's nothing fucking wrong with the weather.
So sounded like you said fuck out a Mars bar.
Oh, you wait. Let me see what the other handles say. Guys, this man want job. I don't know who do. I don't know. He do what? He say he have Fredo. What do you want to do?
If he Freddy Flintoff, then we want him. He big, he strong, he very sexy, and can do anything.
Oh. I lost where we are. Hang on.
I think so, Steve, because it is a fucking lie.
No, he don't play cricket. His name is Mr. Boobies, and he have Fredo chocolates.
In that case, I don't want him. Wait, what can he do?
Okay, do you know who we are? And what can you do? And are you as good at that you are so good at? What can you do that you are so good at?
Oh, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have no money, but I do have a particular set of pastry skills and skills that I've acquired through a long of chocolatier career.
these skills made me a very pretty much a nightmare for people like Japanese people like you. If you give me the job now, that'll be the end of it. But I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will give you a Fredo and kill you.
Oh no, Mr. Scary.
Where is he from?
Oh, Mr. Bobby, where are you from?
Me? I'm from the greatest country in the world. With the best food, the best women, and the sexiest language.
I think he come from Sweden. They got lots of sexy ladies. I seen them on the football, no ugly one. Except that one with the mustache.
I'm no IKEA building hurdy-gurdy Viking. I'm French. Mwah. Women. Man, I said man.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Bye.
Why you hung up on him, huh?
He fucking French.
Who got that helium?
Ah! That's okay then.
So what did he want?
He want a job, but now he gonna kill all of us.
What the?
Fuck! Clear my browser history. The end. For now. Kind of. Until next time. Whenever that might be.
Yeah, I
can
need to
tell
work
you
on
guys are out of practice.
Eric Bullier is getting more and more Japanese as we speak.
I noticed that, and then when you went back to Japanese, he was hyperactive, fucking. Oh jeez, I enjoyed that though. That story came to me yesterday.
You need to crop that and put subtitles.
Oh Jesus Christ! Okay, you know what? I will. I'll subtitle that for next week and see what it comes up with. Oh dear. I don't know. Okay, right. I've totally lost what else I've got now. James, these Star Wars episodes.
Yeah.
You asked us to watch them. Steve clearly hasn't. I did.
This is it. I don't think I can really quiz you both. If only you've watched it. I think I might need to give it another week and make sure that Steve gets to watch them.
Yeah, I tell you what, right? I was a bit apprehensive about what. Basically, for anyone that doesn't know, James sent us some links to Star Wars cartoons, and you know what? I was a bit apprehensive about watching them, but to be fair, I fucking loved them. Right?
Yeah.
I stuck the first one on, and I was like, okay. It took a few minutes for me to get my head around what Yoda looks like, and some of the voices not being right for what I know. Like the guy who Samuel L. Jackson played, it's not his voice. But then, like Qui-Gon Jinn, it was Liam Neeson. So, but within a few minutes, I was like, okay, I'm kind of liking this, and I watched them all back to back. Absolutely, really enjoyed it. It got a little weird with Yoda going off on his little journey. It got a bit trippy. I would not want to be high when I watch it, but I did enjoy it. Did you have
more fun than watching episode 8?
Yeah, I did, and not only that, right, as daft as it might sound, I watched these 4 sort of cartoons about 22 minutes long each. And they actually, like, there was part with Yoda, and where Yoda got, I don't want to give too much away, but where Yoda went to see Qui-Gon Jinn, right, I was like, hang on, that's where Yoda was, and that's where Luke went to meet Yoda, and that's where Yoda sent Luke into the cave where he fought himself. That explains what that is, because in the movies there's no real explanation about that. It's just going there, it's a bit weird. But there was a lot of things that it kind of explained, went into a bit of information that you're like, oh right. Now, whether it ties into the real story or not, I don't know. But what I did find interesting is the first title at the end is produced by George Lucas.
Yeah, the story's created by George Lucas, so they are considered canon. But there's some other ones in there in this cartoon, because the thing is, there were a few episodes here and there where you watch them and you're a bit like, it's just like a bit of a one-off 20-minute story, and you're like, oh, that were alright, oh, that were alright. And then they randomly, like, because they went through each season, they randomly did like 4 episodes that linked together to tell one big story, a bit like that 4 episodes with Yoda.
Yeah.
And them ones they're absolutely fucking brilliant. There's another one, and so I'll send you the links for them so you can be like a step ahead of Steve. If you liked them ones with Yoda, there's some ones about the clones, and one of the clones, I don't know if you remember in episode 3, there's execute Order 66, yes. And all the clones just start shooting at the Jedi. And watching the movie, you're a bit like, oh, what? You know what I mean? You're a bit. You understand what's going on, but still your brain's going, I wonder why they're all just randomly turned on them, and not one of them's a bit like, oh, we shouldn't really be doing this. When you watch these few episodes, it's brilliant because it's like a murder mystery, but at the same time, it's like an explanation as to why all the clones just like literally flip a switch and they become like subservient drones, which is quite good. But yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed these Yoda episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I was basically sat here last night waiting for Steve to come online, and they never did. And while I was doing stuff for this podcast,
I had an early night.
Yeah, while I was doing stuff for the podcast, I was watching them at the same time. So I ended, like I said, literally just watched them back to back to back, and I did find them. I would go as far as to say I enjoyed them more than episode 8, Solo, and that's as far as I'll go at the moment. I just want to mention Drew has put a couple of comments on the YouTube chat that I want to sort of throw to you guys as well. It is going back to F1 a little bit, but we can diverse our talk as well. So Drew's saying, okay, I have some things I want to get off my chest. Says Kimmy was a little punk. Was a little punk for it, apologising to Lewis Hamilton in the room while they were getting ready for the podium. Sorry for not apologising. Not only did he hit Lewis, but he didn't have the damn decency to apologise. And not only that, but did you see the disgusting Instagram posts by Kimmy's wife making fun of Lewis? That was unacceptable. I feel like I want to punch Kimmy in the head sometimes. What I will say is I do know that Kimmy apologised publicly straight away on the interview in part for me. I know he has apologised afterwards as well. I kind of get the impression that Kimmy's the kind of person that he's not going to do something in front of a camera just for the sake of a camera being there. So to him it may have seemed a bit fake if he'd have gone up to Lewis and apologised at that point. He'd much rather go and do it in private. As for the stuff that his wife posted, I've no idea. I don't know if either of you guys have seen any of that.
I don't know, I'll have a look for it, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Okay. Let's see what else. Okay, and the other bit he goes on about, do you guys think Eric Bustier, as I've called him, leaving McLaren was a political move to take some heat off the team? Was he a scapegoat? Is that why he wasn't fired but resigned because they knew he wasn't at fault?
Let's look at it. What has he done since he's been there? Has he turned the team around?
No.
Well, he has to go then because he was the racing director.
Okay, is he in control of the car design, the car build, the manufacturing, how good the car is?
He's supposed to have been.
No, he's
supposed
not.
To have been.
No, he's not. The only thing he's in control of is the team at the track. He has no input to the design of the car, the manufacturer of the car, anything like that. He was just basically the guy that runs the team at the track.
Wow.
So what does he do at rest of the time? Just eat pastries?
Buys Freddos.
Or eats them. He must have had a leftover supply that he wanted to get rid of before he left.
Yeah. I think there's much more to this story than we all know. And with it being McLaren, there's going to be non-disclosure agreements signed, which means we're not going to find out for years probably. But as James knows more about the Freddo gate than I do, that's got to be a part of it. There's something that's been going on within that team that has either led to the point of Eric Boullier going, you know what, I've had enough, or the team going, you know what, it's time for you to go.
I'm disconnect and reconnect because it keeps breaking up to a point where I can't understand. So
okay,
I'll just be 1 minute.
Okie doke. So talking about Star Wars then.
I didn't know Kimi Räikkönen had been married twice.
I didn't. I would guess he was young when he got married the first time then.
2004 to 2014, and then he got married again in 2016.
Oh, I wonder if 2016 was what ended 2014.
Maybe. There you go. But I'm just trying to find these Instagram posts, which I'm not having much luck with, to be honest.
Oh God, so I don't use Instagram or Twitter, so. Well,
I don't, but I should still be able to see them if I just search the right people on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay, James, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I was saying that you know more about Freddo Gate than I do, but there must have been something to do with that, and something else going on within the team that's either made Eric Boullier go, you know what, I've had enough, I'm leaving, or for McLaren to go, you know what, it's time for you to leave.
I think it was probably the latter. What I did say the other week, I says, why would you pick Boullier? Because no offence, you never see him do it where you're like, ooh, yeah, that's brilliant. Or
well, I mean, I mentioned it last week where I said at every F1 team he's been at, it's resulted in disaster. Renault, disaster. Was it Renault? I think it may have been at Renault.
Yeah, it was Renault/Lotus.
Yeah, and Lotus, disaster. McLaren, disaster. Driver manager to Romain Grosjean, disaster.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, there's no excuses, and no offence. Like I said the other week, if you're going to get rid of Ron Dennis, who's basically built that from a decent foundation, but took it into the 21st century. How the hell can Eric Boullier keep his job? Because if you get rid of the top man, he's next in line, and what is he doing?
Well, you know what? Having watched that McLaren documentary, well, that's a brilliant picture. That is Yoda with Lewis Hamilton. James will like that. What was I going to say? What's his name? Having watched that McLaren documentary, there's like 3 heads of departments, isn't there? There's the guy that left the bung in Jenson Button's car at McLaren.
There's Jonathan Neal, isn't there?
That's the other one.
He's one of the top blokes.
Okay. Drew has. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I've just got.
Yeah, Drew sent me. I have seen this. Yeah. So, Kimi Räikkönen's wife then posted, "If you cry like a girl when you lose, do ballet." # just saying. I find that kind of funny. Bit insensitive,
but
maybe.
She's never been a sporting person, clearly.
No.
She's never competed.
No. Oh, I've just had something that's reminded me. Right. Okay. You know, sometimes we have stories about shit that happens in our week. Right? Like last week, I mentioned about the guy who drove his motorbike through his front door. I had a horrifying moment the other day.
What motorbike came through your front door?
I don't know. I don't know how to approach it other than to say, okay, James and Steve, if I was to ask you to remember, or just if you can remember any part of one of Billy Connolly's best jokes that you remember.
I don't think they're broadcastable nowadays, are they?
Well, some of the racist ones, definitely not.
One of my favourite ones, I can just remember a gist of it, but I can't remember. It's all about how he tells the story. But basically, the gist of the story where he knew this nice old lady, and one day she was on the back of a bus, and this bus like teared round this corner at about 50 miles an hour, and then he looked back and she wasn't holding on to the back of the bus, and he's never known if she ever lived or died. And I was just like, but yeah, he tells it in a lot of funnier way, but at the same time, it's all about. It's not exactly what he's saying; it's how he delivers it that's the best.
Yeah.
I think for me, the one I've always remembered though is why would a terrorist want so many virgins when they kill themselves?
Yeah,
you'd always want someone that knows what they're doing.
yeah. Give me 3 fire-breathing whores any day.
Okay. One that I always remember is from Billy Connolly live at Albert Hall, and it was to do with a spider. And obviously, this time of year, hot weather, the spiders are around. James had a massive spider under his fireplace last year.
I had one run across my back the other night, and I got up in the middle of the night and like looked around, couldn't see it, and then 2 seconds later, Vicky like jumped out of bed and was like, "Oh God, something's just run across my back." So I was like, "Oh yeah, at least I'm not like
losing your mind."
You know, it's in my mind, yeah.
Well, let me tell you this little story then. So I live on my own. I'm a single guy, and sometimes single people, even people who've got a partner, have a little bit of alone time, right?
Bit of
DIY, yeah. So I'm lying in my bed, like on my bed, right? I'm lying on my bed. It's night time, so I've got my light off, right? And I'm watching a bit of filth on my phone, right? And I'm enjoying myself. And this is going on for a while.
It wasn't that picture I sent you, Rachel Riley, was it?
It wasn't, no, it was a video. That I'm watching on my phone, and I'm not far away. I'm real close. Right? I know you guys don't want to hear it. I'm real close, and then all of a sudden,
close to what?
His phone.
It's my phone, yeah. All of a sudden, I'm in the dark. I'm lying on my bed, and now you guys are fat guys like me. So if you've ever done this, or if you're watching stuff while lying on your bed, you rest your phone on your belly, right? So that's what I was doing anyway. I rested my phone on my belly, enjoying myself, and then all of a sudden, in the pitch darkness, all I see is a massive fucking spider appear down the top of my screen onto me. That was it. I jumped up like, what the fuck? I'm fucking brushing myself down, and that brushing myself down with the spider reminded me of the joke that Billy Connolly told about the spider in that kind of situation. But on his story, there ain't no spider. On mine, there was. I fucking turned the light on. I'm looking around. Could I find it? Could I fuck? I did not sleep well that night.
Yeah, it's because the light on your phone would have attracted the spider. I mean, I've had it where a moth flew at my phone late at night.
Well, that's what occurred to me afterwards as well. I should have just fucking left the light on, you knobhead. Instead, I've attracted the fucking spider right to me. Killed the moment.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. The spider that made you go limp.
That's not a children's story you want to read.
Dave. Yeah, we could. I might make this as a cartoon.
Okay.
The spider that made Dave go limp.
Yeah. Oh God.
He was huffing and puffing.
Tossing and turning.
Tugging
and
and pulling.
twatting.
The
Until Mr. Spider turned up.
The neighbour.
All he wanted was a quick chat.
Hello, Dave.
What are you doing? I think my uncle's in that video.
I'm hungry for some sausage. Any going spare?
No.
No, I've already got cream.
Brilliant.
You'll probably find him stuck to the wall. You probably shot him across the room.
The spider web's looking a bit thick. Yeah, dead bastards. Oh, I don't know.
I've sent a word in our chat that I think James should use for his next commentary.
Is that what it was for?
Yeah, have you googled the word?
No, I just thought it was something you meant to send to somebody else. Like Claire messaged you saying, "What do you fancy when you finish the podcast?" Hogtied.
Google the word and then hit the video button tag thing. So you're googling the videos.
Hogtied.
Yes.
What does it mean?
HOG. That's why I'm asking you to Google it if you don't know what it means.
Thing is, if I watch a video, the audio will come through.
No, you don't have to hit video. You don't have to press to play a video. You just type that into Google.
Yeah.
And then underneath it's got news, images, video.
If it's on
whatever.
xvideos.com, that's some. Oh my god, no. Yeah, you do not want. I'm not even going to look at it. Xvideos is a porn site, and the next line says, "Hogtied videos. 5 minutes of gay hogtied live sex cams." Like, okay, I do not want to see any more. Thank you very much.
But that'd be an interesting word for James to get into his commentary. Hogtied.
Yeah.
If you actually, the definition of hogtied is where the hands and feet are both tied together.
Yeah. Okay. Like tying up a hog.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, fucking perverts.
So there you go, James. You got a word.
Brilliant. Hogtied. They're as close as a set of hogtides. I don't know how I'd use it.
That's why it's going to be difficult.
Be alright with your American.
Yeah, hogtied. Damn.
Hot diggity dog.
Hot diggity dog.
Oh, Jesus.
As well, I love the fact that I just made up the fact that he owned a 40% share in Ford.
Excuse me, I'm coughing. No, it was a good story. So, you guys got anything else you want to mention, want to bring up to discussion this evening?
Will England win tomorrow?
Ooh. No, I had a really positive feeling about the previous game, and it came all right. And now I've got a really negative feeling.
So I don't have too much of a problem mentally with England playing against
Croatia.
Czech Republic, who used to be known as in my day. Yeah, Croatia. I don't have a problem. I think England can overcome them. And I'm glad, in a way, that France won tonight. Because if it had been England against Belgium in the final, yes, England would have had a point to prove. But I think that mentally it would have been like, well, these beat us already in this competition. So if it is England-France in the final, then that gives England fresh look upon the opponents.
But at the same time, France have got Mbappe, who is...
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's looking world class. I mean, the rumours are with Cristiano Ronaldo apparently signing for Juventus, the rumours are that it could be Hazard or Mbappe that make the move to Real Madrid.
Yeah, and I think it should be. I can see it being Mbappe more than Hazard.
So Mbappe's got another 20 years to play, 15 years.
Yeah.
Hazard's got 5, if that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
think
don't.
another way of looking at it is if England do lose tomorrow, that means in the third place playoff game they'll be playing Belgium, and then they can just go out for revenge against Belgium.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I know Gareth Southgate he said the other day. He says, "Well, look, we're either going to be here for another 7 or 8 days anyway, so we might as well be here for 8 days." I want England to win. I don't know if they will. But as I said earlier, I mean, in my eyes, they've already overachieved. So when I watch the game tomorrow, I'm going to be a nervous. Well, it's weird. In the last game, well, the game before the last game, I was a nervous wreck, especially in the penalty shootouts. In the last game, I didn't have any nerves. I was like fairly confident that they were going to comfortably win, and they did. This game, I can imagine my nerves are going to be a bit of a wreck, but I'm not going to be disappointed if they lose. I'm going to be over the moon if they win, but I'm not going to be disappointed if they lose, because they've already, well, I mean, they've done a hell of a lot better than I ever thought they would have done.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed.
Definitely.
I think I've got that kind of thing where I normally go with gut instincts, and if I were a betting man, I'd probably say, don't get your hopes up, I think we might be going home. But if we go through, fucking amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, a lot of the players have played together for a long time in England for Gareth Southgate, and I know it surprised me how well he's done, how well the team has done. What's got me as well is, I mean, I don't know if there is problems kicking off in Russia like there was in Brazil, or in the Euros when England played Russia, there was violence in the crowd from the Russian supporters. So I don't know.
Heard anything.
Well, this is the thing, we've not heard anything, but that doesn't necessarily mean that stuff's not been happening. In a way, I'm glad that England haven't had to play Russia, because I think if they did, there could be problems there, because there's history. The Russian sort of hooligans always want to prove that they're more hooliganist than...
Is that a new word?
It is a new word, yeah. Than the English, that they're tougher and they're harder and they're more man, which I'm glad we can avoid. But I mean, I will be disappointed if they don't go through, but at the same time, I ain't going to be pissed off if they don't make it.
Do you know what's interesting though? Well, if England, I'm not saying this to tempt fate or anything like that, but if England do win, there's going to be one thing that crosses my mind, and that is, this is the World Cup that England were meant to host. But Russia somehow got the
bid.
Vote, the bid, because of well, I can't even say allegedly, because it was actually proven that some of the people that gave the votes were paid money by the Russians.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it would be good if England won it because of that. The World Cup that was supposed to be held in England win. That would be nice.
Could be. Drew has given us a word for you, James, for your podcast, for your commentary. I'm not even going to try and say it. I'll send it in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, that's the one. I sent that the other week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Fixation. I might get a fixation in there. Yeah. How many weeks till the next race?
2.
3.
2 weeks.
So, Steve, you got no excuses this week for your Star Wars thing. But I think we should also review a movie.
So what are you thinking next week we stick a movie on and talk about it while we're watching it?
Yeah. So we could watch it once this week, so we already have an idea of what we're going to say throughout the movie, and then we all sit down and press play for a movie at once, and then we'll sit through the movie and have a chat about it.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have a good think about what movie it could be.
Well, sure, I'll go through me...
Everyone press pause, I'm going for a dump.
I'll have a little look through my collection. Now... Well, I am actually really, really glad that you enjoyed that Star Wars thing. knowing, I think as,
Do you know what,
well,
James? To be honest, I did try it several times. Then I thought, fuck it, porn.
Does your wife know?
What?
Or does she join in?
I normally watch whatever she's watching.
Okay. Right, well.
I know one. Oh, actually, no, you were going to do it. Doesn't matter.
I'm thinking something that we've probably all seen.
Deadpool 2.
I was thinking more Die Hard.
You know what? It was on TV the other day, and I got halfway through it, but then I had to do something. I think it might have been some gaming online. I can't remember. The one in the tower.
Yeah, the first one, because most of us listeners will have seen Die Hard as well.
Well, can't we do something stupid like Toy Story 3?
No, Sausage Party.
Nah, that's a classic film. It's like, what?
James said, I'd rather do Die Hard.
I'm thinking Die Hard or Predator.
What about One Night in Paris?
Don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't think you'd hear much from us. Apart from Dave Pat.
Okay, obviously that's a film I'm going to have to watch at some point. I have no idea what the fuck you're on about.
No way! I've never heard of that.
No.
Google it now then, One Night in Paris.
Yeah. It were a big movie in about 2002, 2003.
I've never seen
it. It's one of the most watched movies of all time.
I've never seen Zack and Miri make a porno either.
No, it's not great.
Nah, camera quality's a bit shit.
Oh, right.
You've seen it? So you've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen that. I thought it was a proper film, not fucking Paris Hilton. Oh dear.
I tell you what, because I know you've seen it recently as well. Why don't we all sit down and watch Apollo 13?
How long is it?
Hang on.
40-ish, maybe?
Is...
It's 2 hours 20, I'm sure. It's a long one.
Well, his podcasts are about 4 hours long, so it'll be shorter than a podcast. Doesn't say. That's a like. Probably say it's about 2 hours long.
Could always watch snakes on a plane.
Could do.
I bet it with these monkey fucking snakes. Have you ever seen that where it's the made-for-TV dubbed version? But they've actually got Samuel L. Jackson to come in and dub these lines. It's fucking brilliant. It's like, I've had it with these monkey snakes on this monkey. Is it a mother monkey? So he says monkey instead of fucking. Right with these mother monkey snakes on this mother monkey plane.
You'd at least think they'd put a word in that's
similar.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at loads of
Freaking
pictures of
awesome.
Paris Hilton now.
Yeah, but yeah, on Grand Tour, them boobs have come out of nowhere, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, when she was on there. But
Let's get really long for Steve. Let's put Titanic on.
oh jeez.
Can't we watch Titanic 2?
Titanic 2, yeah. Where that's where he works on Wall Street, isn't it?
Yeah, Apollo 13.
He works on Wall Street and gets coked up.
Yeah. Wolf of Wall Street. Apollo 13 is 140 minutes long, which I believe is 2 hours 20.
Do you not think you could do that, Steve?
I'd need a shit partway through.
Yeah, we can pause halfway through. What we'll say is, when they go on the dark side of the moon, that's when Steve goes for a shit.
Okay.
I think we should do that.
Okay, we'll do that then. Apollo 13, and what we can do as well, if anyone thinks of any movies in the next couple of days that we could perhaps watch, not necessarily instead of, but any other films that you think of that might be good to do, we can always discuss.
Free now. Brain's gone. Can't remember what it's called.
But as well, the thing about Apollo 13, it's so far-fetched, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just going to really happen.
It's a fucking joke, man. It's a fucking joke.
Fucking no way that'd happen.
Now, see, The Martian it could be done. Passengers would be a bit tricky.
Oh, Dave, what about How High?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I think James would find that funny.
What's it called? How High?
How High? You just have to watch it. Vicky won't want to watch it. But I mean, it's quite old now. But you have to watch it and see what you think.
2001 it was made.
I'll give it
so 16 years. 17. What year are we in?
2000. I nearly said 2001.
I would have worked today and I wrote down something like February 2017. I'm like, where the fuck am I?
Oh, my back's cracking. Oh.
But yes, Steve, what I might do, I'm still going to quiz you on this Star Wars. And it looks like Dave's got a bit of an head start, so you got to resist that porn, mate.
Yeah. Oh, I've just remembered. I've got something else to show you guys. It's about 7-8 minutes long, but it is something that I want to show you, and we can talk about it while we're watching it. I don't know if you heard a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I was surprised it actually made the news, to be honest. But a couple of weeks ago, it made the news that some graffiti artists were hit by a train and killed down in London. Now, why it made the news up here, I don't know. But over the course of our podcast, I've shown you guys optical illusions. I've shown you some artistic stuff, some cool stuff. But seeing this story about these graffiti artists got me thinking about graffiti and, like, is graffiti art or not? And I ended up finding a video on YouTube, and it's this video. Like I say, it's about 7-8 minutes long, so if you let me know when you're ready to play it, guys, and I'll play it for the viewers. Now, so you could perhaps answer the question during this video about whether graffiti is art or not.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, when graffiti gets good.
Are you John Connor? Oh, that's cool.
I've seen one with Carl Pilkington where if anybody sees like dog shit, they cover it with like hundreds and thousands and stuff.
Oh, right.
Make it look like presentable.
Some of these are presentable. Some of these I think are absolutely brilliant. Some of them are a bit shit. Some of them are absolutely like Bruce Lee. I mean, that's fucking brilliant.
I mean, that is good artist, but I like the ones with the little Ant-Man, whatever it is.
The thing is, if I was a street worker, I'd be like, right, Pac-Man, you can stay. James likes Jack.
Definitely.
Hey, that's a bit simple.
I can't see that.
Someone stuck a sausage and he's looking at it.
That looks like a Banksy, but it's not.
This one looks like he's got the cock out, but it's not. It's a yo-yo on it, on his finger.
It's got a yo-yo. That's cool. Yeah,
But, I mean, some of these things, if I was definitely a cat, I would leave. Some of them I'd have to get rid of. There's some I would definitely leave because they are good. I mean, that's not art. Going back a bit that way.
yeah. Just realised he's older than Bag.
Yeah. Very political, this one. Yeah. That one, not so much.
That's Theresa May. That's Theresa May turning around going, Brexit's not actually happening.
And this is a constituency. I don't really get that. I mean, I get the same. Some of them are a bit cheesy. Wait for you to get that one.
Yeah, I get it. That's cool.
Yeah.
James will like this one.
Nice.
But, I mean, this one with the afro, that is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And
Sure, someone puts a tree down, did it?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Same with this one, I suppose.
Have you seen the big pictures of Billy Connolly
In Scotland.
in Scotland? Yeah, me and Claire, when we was up there, we drove round to have a look at some.
Yeah, some of them brilliant. I mean, that one's brilliant until it's a windy day.
Yeah.
But no, the ones for Billy Connolly, he didn't even know they were doing them. Sort of instead of a Keys to the City type thing. I mean, that is art.
Yeah.
How a man cleans up. I mean, it gets me how people even think about doing some of this stuff, though.
They must just be sat there with like marker pens with some of them, because some of it's not spray paint, and they just sit there and go, I could do this.
I love that one. I mean, you'd be pissed if you lived there, but then at the same time, you'd be like, that's pretty good.
The toilet. That's cool.
That one, I love this one. I'd definitely leave that. I mean, we don't need to finish those lines off, guys. I can't believe that's the one that gets James laughing.
I'm like, that's got to be it. Diagnosed with moustache. That's what I'm gonna get in your comment.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree with you.
Diagnosed with the moustache. Yeah, he's driving so much like Nigel Mansell. He's diagnosed with a moustache. Brilliant.
What else have we got there?
E.T.
I like that.
I might do that in my bathroom. My bathroom, like the E.T.
It took me a while to get the vandals one. Any vandals?
Yeah. Yup.
That was.
It was.
That was a bit shit, but staring to have When it snows next time, I want to do that.
I tried doing it, and it's so difficult because when you do the big circle, if the snow's not right, when you do the big circle for the eye, everything inside it just falls.
Side entry drink diabetes. What did one phone box say to the other? Ouch. And that's the end.
Oh,
That's
some
cool.
good ones there. Yeah, well, he's got me that diabetes. And he's got me the moustache one from the commentary. That's got me it.
Yeah. Okay.
Diagnosed moustache.
Right. You know I like showing you optical illusions. I've got one for you. It's only short. It sounds wrong, it's a bit wrong that, but it's a short video. But I gotta say, this is probably, I would call this art. This is brilliant. Let me know when you've loaded it and I'll play it for the viewers. It is only short, but this is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Trying to enlarge it, hang on. Okay.
Yeah, good that.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
That is good, that.
Yeah. I would never have thought of doing that at a puddle, and if I did, I'd probably drop my fucking phone in the puddle, and they'd be phoneless.
I wonder how he stood upside down there to do it.
You're fool.
Oh, as well, just before we go, I've changed me thumbnails for next year. For next season.
You painted them pink.
What do you think of that?
What we meant to be looking at? The name, the car, or the massive knockers?
All of it.
I'm distracted.
Looks good.
Would you click on it?
I'd click it a few times.
There you go then. Job done.
Give
You
it.
sure you don't want to participate, Steve? You know, I'm not
can't.
tempting you with these big ones.
I've got too much on. All these Star Wars cartoons I need to watch.
Yeah. Too much porn.
You know what? I was half tempted, right? If with the idea of default settles, but at the same time, I ain't got the game. The game did bug me a bit, but not only that, it's been so hot recently that I'm sweating buckets just sitting there doing nothing. I've tried driving a couple of times and fuck me, I've had to get changed 3 times in a day.
The other day I did a bit of practice with Dave. I think it was like I just said, I can fit like an hour practicing. And seeing as we're not doing setups at all, it's more just getting used to the car and knowing what the car's going to do. And we were practicing, and it got to end the hour and I went, well, I'm going to have to go now because I'm a bit sweaty. And as I left, literally I got up and my back was just soaked. So like, fucking hell.
Yeah. Well, I had that the other day. The back of my t-shirt was so wet I could wring it out and it was dripping. My shorts, I didn't think they were that bad. I hung them over the back of a chair, left them there for 2 days, went to put them on, right, 2 days later they were still wet.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, yeah, it's too hot for fucking driving.
But yeah, when the temperature comes down, if you do fancy driving, you're more than welcome.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
With that set, it might tempt you.
I don't know. Can't touch them. It'd be like
yeah,
that. What's his name? MC Hammer song. Can't touch tits. Do. Can't touch tits. By the way, Steve, I just want to say you absolutely annihilated the short version of the name for the track.
Annihilated what?
Right. In the Hando story, right, that we told earlier, the name of the circuit was Hando's Hand of Magical Masturbation Technique International Talent Shown, or Tits for short. You didn't go. You didn't go. Tits. You went. Tits.
Tits. That's because I didn't realise. I was reading it as I was going, and I went. I got them, and then when I saw the word tits, I know that one.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, right. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think I might need some ice cream.
Why? And you know you're on about art. I think there's a bit of art there done quite well.
That second one can't be real.
Well, I think it is.
Thing is,
The first one's definitely real.
Yeah. It's not like her face is a completely different colour to the rest of her body.
No, it's just she got makeup on.
Yeah, and she's been in a porno. Rachel Riley, porn star. I actually didn't realise, you know, that what's her name? There was an actress that I didn't realise had been, or
Helen
was,
Mirren?
No, was a porn star.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. I'll be able to tell you in a second.
Male or female?
Female. Carmen Electra.
Oh, she's nice. She is.
I never knew that she had done porn.
I didn't know that.
Well, you'll know in about 10 minutes when you Google it. Right, see you later, guys.
Bye.
No, if you've ever heard of a Sibian, she tested a Sibian, but she was dressed for that. And yeah, there was also some other videos. I've not seen them yet. Yet, being the operative word. But there we go. Anyway, right, I think it's about time we bring this evening's podcast to an end, seeing as James is sending filth. Bloody hell, who's she?
Don't know.
She's probably going to end up on one of your pictures soon. Okay, right, to anyone that's been listening, thank you very much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell your mates. There is no Grand Prix for this coming weekend. It'll be in 2 weeks' time, so we'll be back next Tuesday. By the sounds of it, we're going to be watching a film and talking about that film on next Tuesday's podcast. That's going to take a good 2.5 hours or so, and we'll see what else we're going to bring to that evening's show. So make sure you come join us for that on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Stephen James, thanks as always for joining us for a chat and sending filthy pictures. I hope everybody has a great week, a great weekend, and good luck to England tomorrow. And let's hope that we might be celebrating a potential World Cup win by the time we're on our next podcast.
Possible.
Hopefully.
I'll be celebrating these pictures later.
You pervert. send them to me. Right, have a good one, folks, and we'll see you all later.
Catch you later.
Ciao.
Blah 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 blah.